I want to call the Mashpee School Committee meeting for March 19th, 2025 to order. First item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. One of the kids want to start it, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Good job.
The Mashpee Public Schools recognize and honor the many generations of Wampanoag people who have lived and sustained in this territory for more than 10,000 years. Before the committee is the agenda. We have one item on here in regard to the collaborative, item in section 13. We've been asked if it's possible to move that to earlier in the agenda. Is Hope Hams? Okay, Dr. Hanson is here. So I would ask that we move this.
Do you want to do it before the question school presentation? Because I know she has another meeting she has to get to.
I would be fine with that. Any, do I have a motion to that?
Do we have any families who are here tonight that it would pose a concern to stay later?
Great question. Did anyone hear that? Are there any families that are here that have a time constraint that wouldn't be able to stay here for another 10 minutes? All right, hearing none. All right, any other? So I have a motion by, move it? Wow.
I'll make a motion to move the Cape Cod Collaborative update up to number 4 after public comment to incorporate the articles of agreement.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, second by Kathy. Any further comment? Any other items that need to be addressed? Oh, I'm sorry, we have to vote on that. We have a motion. We have a motion. Dan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Unanimous. Move that. Any other items that need to be addressed? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve or to ratify the amended agenda for March 19th?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Kathy, second by Dan. Any further comment? Hearing none. Dan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so it's unanimous. Next item, public comment. Do we have any public comment? All right, so the chair does have a public comment, so I want to take just 1 minute or less. I've been on the school committee for 12 years. Prior to that, I was active in the town as a select board person, planning board person. So for the last 19 years, I have been trying to make a difference here in the town. I look back quickly at just some of the things that I thought might be important that we have been able to do, such as helping assist the Wampanoag tribe with their federal recognition, the building of a new library, the implementation of a free preschool program. One with mixed emotions maybe was changing the school start time, and there's probably more, but those are the things that just come to mind offhand. It's been a great 19 years, but I think it's time now for someone else to step up, and they have a wide open opportunity. So thank you. Next item of business. We have a presentation from the Quashnet. Oh, I'm sorry, Cape Cod Collaborative. This is why I have to retire. I can't keep the agenda straight anymore.
Oh, it's weird over here. Who are you again?
Yes, Sam.
Please
But I
introduce
like it
yourself.
over here. I might get used to it over here.
You're welcome to come anytime you want.
Dr. Hanscom, how are you today?
Hi, everybody. I'm great. How are you?
Good.
And thank you for giving me the time. I don't think it will even take 10 minutes. But I am attending 20 school committee meetings this month in March, and I think you're like my 13th, and I have two. I had one already. I have another one after this. So thank you for giving me the flexibility to talk or to answer any questions now. The Cape Cod Collaborative is looking to amend its Articles of Agreement in order to add Plymouth Public Schools as a voting member. This process has been in the works for a while, well before my time at the Collaborative. But in order for Plymouth to be able to be a member by July 1, all of the school committees need to take a vote on this amendment before April 1st, and then I need to get it into DESI by April 1st. So I'm here tonight to answer any questions you may have about the changes, yeah, that's pretty much it.
From a practicality standpoint, what does integrating Plymouth do for kind of the greater, obviously, collaborative?
So Plymouth brings a membership rate that they will pay, just like Mashpee does. It's $1 a student, and Plymouth has 7,000-ish students. So from a financial perspective, that revenue will be coming into the collaborative. At the same time, some of their tuitions and services they're paying at a non-member rate, so there'll be a little bit of a deficit there. What I did learn is that for the past 4 or 5 years, Plymouth has been paying member rates at Waypoint for the commitment slots without being a member. I'm not sure how that happened or when that happened, but it has happened, so that will not have a financial hit. What Plymouth coming on board does for the collaborative in general, we are losing students on the Cape. Our enrollment is going down, and so we need to continue to grow, diversify, and enhance our programming. And by bringing a district like Plymouth on board, their voice and their resources and their students will allow us to continue to provide the services and grow our services that all of us need.
Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions? Does this just relate to providing educational services and not transportation services, or both?
They will become full members of the collaborative, which means they can ask us to provide any services under our purview. But at this point, they are not asking for transportation services. They use a little bit of small bus, 7D transportation already, but I do not anticipate Plymouth will ask us to provide general ed services for transportation. If they did, we would need to start a whole sort of satellite site up in Plymouth and hire more people and all of that. So it would be not taking from what we already do, it would be adding on to. But I don't see that happening.
Can I just piggyback off that question? So understanding that aspect, kind of looking at the flip side and Mashpee's needs in terms of a late bus driver, does that allow the collaborative then to advertise for that position through the collaborative's resources to maybe get a high school, middle school late bus driver, or is there any opportunity there to?
I'm not sure how Plymouth coming on board would
Okay.
enhance our ability to recruit a driver. However, on a side note, I think that we have already begun to look at our HR processes and how we're advertising, and we are putting some tweaks in place right now that I hope will manifest. I will say, getting the bus tapes a different way to be accessed, principals, you're welcome, and finding a late bus driver for Mashpee are the two Mashpee things I have brought very strongly over to the collaborative in the month and a half I've been over there. It is high on my list.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I just got a quick question about the buses.
Yes,
The buses have cameras inside, correct?
correct.
They don't have dash cams or anything outside of the bus that can see the surrounding areas of the bus?
I don't believe that's true. I believe there are videos because I've watched, okay, thank you. I just watched for another district, a camera where I could see the bus approaching a stop sign from outside. So I'm assuming that camera was outside, but I don't know.
I have not seen that from bus tape I have
No?
watched. You can see out of the window.
Maybe it's through the window.
Well, I think the problem that we're incurring with the buses, and why I've had two different parents reach out to me regarding it, is the amount of cars that blow through the stop sign when the children are getting on and off the bus. So, you know, the bus driver's distracted, they're trying to get the kids off the bus, so they're not necessarily looking at the person that's driving through their stop sign with all the big flashy lights to get a license plate.
Yeah.
Where a dash cam or a camera outside of the buses would catch that and catch so that, again, the same person flew through the bus 7 times in
Yeah.
the past month. Now it's a police matter, or here, we have their license plate, this is the video, this is what they're doing. You know, we've asked them to stop, we've yelled and screamed at them, and nothing is happening. Can you take it to the next level?
Yeah.
The last thing I want to see is a kid get hit by a car because they're just too ignorant to stop.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, it's 2025, in what world do we not know we need to stop with the flashing buses? But what I will say is, even if the cameras are inside, which I think you're right, because how would it, they'd get rained on or something, right, if they were outside. The view I saw yesterday from this other district's camera that I was watching, I would have been able to tell a license plate, I think, from that. So what I would encourage families to do is call the school,
Yeah.
talk to the main office, and they will reach out to us, and we will
Yeah,
pull the
that's the
tapes.
direction I had pointed in.
Yeah.
Okay,
The,
thank you.
the other thing, just to note, is MASC has been supporting cameras mounted on stop signs. There's legislation that
On the
we,
stop signs of the bus?
yes, that
Oh,
would
okay.
be outside. So there is legislation that is pending, and, you know, if you want to call the school, you might also want to call your state rep and state senator
Yeah.
to see where that I mean, you can look online as well, but MASC has been advocating for that, and we as a committee supported that
Yeah.
at the MASC annual
Yeah, okay.
legislative conference. So just putting that on
Yeah.
the radar too, that this is a problem not just in Mashpee,
Right.
and there is legislation that has been proposed and we have supported as a school committee.
Right,
So,
okay, good.
I love that. I fully support it.
Kelly, if I could just add to that, our SRO is also very responsive, so I would encourage parents again to reach out to their office, because then we talk to our school resource
Yeah.
officer, and if it's a habitual problem in a certain area,
They'll go
they
say.
can send
Okay.
patrols to watch that, so please reach out.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
All right, thank you. That is all for me.
Any other questions? I have just one last one. So does this mean that Plymouth will also then be assessed for any current and future capital projects?
Current, I don't know. We have two loans. One is an amortization piece that we took on for Monomoy buses, and one is a loan that we took out to do repairs at the Yarmouth site for Waypoint. I don't believe Plymouth takes on retrospectively, but certainly moving forward, if we take on capital, then yes.
So they would not be assessed next year for a portion of that capital?
Actually, none of you are. That's built into our capital surplus line. So we actually have put it into our budget.
All right, excellent. Anything else?
And if it's one more, if you do vote tonight and it does approve, I am going to ask Mr. Myers if you can sign and date it tonight, and I'll take it with me, because I actually need live signatures. I have to actually physically cut them with scissors and glue them onto the paper. So we're very fancy. No, that's a DESI requirement, not mine. So I just, that's okay. Oh, super high. I have nice scissors, though. I really do.
I'm sure you could get a couple of the kids to help you. What do you think, friends? Would somebody help me do some cutting?
Yes, all right.
All right. If there's no other questions, do I have a motion to
Mr.
approve?
Chair, I will make a motion to approve the articles of agreement for the Cape Cod Collaborative.
The amended
The
articles.
amended articles of agreement for the Cape Cod Collaborative.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Kelly, second by Dan. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Kathy?
yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Brian? And I vote yes. Congratulations.
Thanks, everyone. So good to see you all.
Welcome, Plymouth.
And I am going to just approach the bench, your honors, so I can grab the paper. I love it. Dude, what are you going to do without your gavel? Come on.
I know.
He has them at home.
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
You're very welcome.
319.
All right, there you go. Good luck.
Sir.
Thank you. Good luck
Thank
with
you.
your next meeting.
All right. Next item, Quashnet presentation. Are you introducing this great group?
I'm gonna move this,
Yeah.
we're gonna have some
Okay.
Best presentation of the night.
All right, does that work? Can everyone hear me? If there are any parents, we're going to present in front of the screen. If you want to, feel free to come, and it's
You can
okay.
come behind
You can
us,
come
too,
behind the
like,
school
Wherever
committee.
you want to go.
'Cause you're gonna
It
want
usually takes
pictures,
like one
so-
or two people to make the move, and everyone does it, but it's worth it. And then you can feel free to go around, and we'll give you a minute, because we're going to present facing this way.
You can have a free ride on the bike then.
Bring in the ramp. All right, girls, I'm going to talk for like a minute first. You can stay right there. All right? Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for having us. We have some people who are really excited to present tonight. We are going to be featuring our before and after school clubs program. It's a program that I think needs to be celebrated. Coming to Mashpee from two other districts as an assistant principal and a teacher, I was just really impressed with the foundation of a clubs program we have here. I think that's a big credit to Mrs. O'Brien and Mrs. DeBoer, who were here before me. Mrs. Lopes always makes it happen. If we have 10 or more kids that are interested in something, they always say yes. So I think that's just really impressive. There are tons of different kinds of clubs that we do, legacy clubs, clubs that have been going on for years. Mrs. Jagette's been doing knitting 30 years. And then we're going to see upcycling, which started about 4 weeks ago. So there's just a wide range of clubs that our students participate in. So what we're going to do is we're going to have, here, I got a little agenda here. We're going to hear from K-Kids, which is a club that's been going on for a long time. It's part of Kiwanis Club, which is a bigger group outside of our school. Mrs. Dempsey took it on this year. It's her first year doing it, but Tori's been doing it for 2 years, so that's awesome to see. We're going to hear from Upcycling Club. They're a brand new club. Knitting Club, which has been going on for a long time. And we have some third graders. If you're prepared, I think they're going to ask you guys to do some stitching, the 5 of you, because they just learned this year. Now they're going to teach you. Our VEX Robotics team, one of our teams that's in the state championship, is going to present. And then the boring part at the end is I'm going to talk about some data. And so I'm going to let K-Kids go first. You ready? All right. Stand right here, kiddos, please. I'll move the slide.
Hi, we are Mashpee K-Kids Club. We are part of the Mashpee K-Kids Club. I am Tori Lucia. This is Emmy Reed. Rachel Ashley Alonzo.
Next slide.
Part of our community, we love to help and take care of other people. This is our pledge. As a K-Kid, I promise to serve my neighborhood and my school, which will show respect towards my environment, and I will try to make the world a better place in which to live. No, it's not me, it's Rachel. Our K-Kids team works together to brainstorm ideas on who in our community could use our support. We also think about how to lend a helping hand to those in need. We believe that it is important to help others to make our community stronger. We had an amazing Candy for the Troops and local rescue teams event. Students shared their Halloween candy and we delivered. Thank you cards and bags of candy to military in our Mashpee Firehouse and Mashpee Police Station. We also completed our school-wide food drive. Each classroom collected items that were all donated to our Mashpee food banks. The Quashnet School collected and donated 831 food items. We are also on the front page of the Mashpee Enterprise. We are proud to be the school with the largest amount of donations, but even more proud of being able to work together to help our Mashpee families.
Respect is a large part of how we carry our work in our community. Cake has organized Quashnet School students and made over 120 cards that we delivered to Laurentide Senior Living Center, showing respect and making connections to our Mashpee seniors.
We include classmates, friends, and families in our project to share how important it is to give back. In this picture, we are working together in our Quashnet Library. We are still working on this project to organize books to donate to share with kids in our school this spring. Thank you all for taking the time to learn about Quashnet K-Kids Club.
Thanks, guys. You guys want to sit down? You can leave all that there. All right, and what's impressive is they meet once a week after school for about an hour, and they do all that work in that time. So we're going to hear from Upcycling next. Should I bring the ramp over? Make sure
Hi everyone, I am Mr. Kilduff. I'm the sponsor of Upcycling Engineering Clubs. This is my student engineers. This is Ophelia, this is Daniel, this is Christian, and this is Jameson. Ophelia is going to do a good job right now. She is going to introduce what is upcycling.
What is upcycling? It means to reuse recycled materials to make something of higher value. During Upcycling Club, we use materials that people often throw away to build projects.
How do we collect our supplies? Oh, it's on. We collected water bottles, as paper, towel rolls, cardboard, and more from homes. Teacher and student donations. Upcycling students also brought in supplies, and we collected moss from the woods. Who's next?
Our projects. We made soda bottle terrariums and we took them home. And we made water bottle cars and we all made a big cardboard ramp. Our building process, one, planned our cars with a drawing hot glued the bottles together. Created wheels using straw bottles, caps, and toothpicks. 4, added designs using cardboard and markers, built a ramp out of cardboard boxes, strengthened our ramp.
And then we have our ramp right here. And some of our students did an awesome job making some cars, and they want to show you guys what it looks like. So you guys can just put it down on top. Sometimes the wheels work, sometimes sometimes they scrape down. That's awesome. So This is done using all recycled materials. It's a really cool project.
So two things about that club. It's brand new. It's only been going on for about 6 weeks. Mr. Kilduff came to me with the idea. I said, how much does it cost? He said nothing, because it's all recycled materials, which is awesome. And then, unbeknownst to us, we had about 35 kids sign up. So we had to break it into 4 groups. So that's awesome. Next, we're going to hear from knitting and crocheting. All 3, there are 3 third graders and a 4th grader. Kelly, did you do this last year? Okay, so Kelly learned how to crochet last year for the first time. All 3 of the 3rd graders learned this year. So they've been doing this for maybe about 5 months at this point, and they're masters, so. Coming up. Come up here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Victor. I'm JoJo. I'm Nico. I'm Kelly.
I'm Robin Jaquette. We start off in the year, we start off with a basic project. They have to first learn how to knit or crochet without making too many mistakes. And then once they get that, we start a project. Some of them, this was our first project a couple years ago, was making just a headband. And then Kelly started off with this one, I think, and then she's gone on to making a scarf. Go ahead, show your scarf. She's got that. She's had other projects too, right, Kelly? Okay. And then this year, we had a lot of crocheters, and they were so excited about crocheting because they think crocheting was a lot easier than knitting, which it can be. It depends on your ease. We did have one girl, she's not here, she had to go back to Brazil, but she was so good at it that she was making a vest. She's got most of it done. So I'm gonna finish it for her and mail it to her. But this was her 2nd year, I think, 2nd or 3rd year maybe, and she was making a vest. I said, you can't make little things like this anymore, we're gonna make something big. So everybody else has stuff to share with you as well, what they made. You're gonna show your blanket?
Yeah. I made a basket out of thick yarn, and I can fit stuff inside of it, like my 3D printed dragons and like hair clips, and it can fit my hand in it, but I don't want to drop the microphone, so I created my own pattern doing it, so it was just free-handed.
Good job.
This is my blanket that I made.
Wow.
I finished off a poncho that was, I think it was left from a class from the last year, but they didn't finish it, so I finished it off.
Excellent.
I did the 2nd semester of knitting and crocheting this year, but I didn't do the 1st semester, and I got half of my scarf done.
And they want to show you how to, you can decide which one you want to do. We have knitting and we have crocheting, and they thought you might like a little hand at trying that, so they want to help you out with that.
Winter class for adults.
Go ahead, go bring them over. They have knitting and crocheting, and these are very top students on here. We have some junior high and high school kids that were knitting as well. Crocheting.
So do I take this one?
How do you do that?
Okay. So what this one looks like it's already kind of started.
They've been teaching other students as well.
Started it for me. So what do I do? Okay, hold on. So I go over. Okay.
You have to pull it up.
Victor and Nico are so excited about that. They brought other of their friends into class this 2nd term, so they're all learning and doing a great job too.
Awesome. That blanket, how long did that blanket take you to make? 2 days.
I don't think I could do it.
You could open up an Etsy shop and sell them like crazy.
That's impressive. impressive.
Do you like doing it?
Very nice.
Yeah, it's very relaxing, isn't it? You can do it while you're watching
What do
TV
you
or
like
like
about
just if you're bored, you always have something to do, right? Yeah. So what will be your next project? That would be a lovely present.
Well, I don't understand how
This
you
is
do
really
that.
cool.
I'm
Yeah.
extremely impressed.
I know, it's like the best. You can like make Christmas
How long
presents
have
for
you been
people,
doing
right?
this?
That's awesome.
2 years, wow.
Yes, what do I do?
What, have you made anything else?
So skip, yep. So go through this one. Okay, and then pull through both,
Very nice.
All right, we ready? We
and
good?
then two.
Excellent job.
All right, look at that. And you keep doing that? Oh my goodness.
Doing great. Keep it up.
This is awesome.
Okay, we got one more
Yep.
club.
Thank you so much for teaching me a new skill. I love it. Keep up the great work. Like, she was like, great job, kids.
Excellent job. I think I'm going to need your remedial training to accomplish that. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some of these students are wearing their robotics state championship sweatshirts. That shouldn't be lost on us.
We have robotics club for 5th and 6th graders. Sometimes we recruit 4th graders in the spring so they can start trying their hand and get ready for the next year. And there's countless learning opportunities. Sometimes they don't even realize they're learning. Do you girls want to talk about? Oh, yes.
Do your names and what grade you're in?
All right.
I'm Chase, and I'm in 6th grade, and I started last year, and I really liked it, so I did it again this year. I'm CJ from 6th grade. I started last year. I really liked it, so I did it again. So this is my 2nd year. I'm Ellie, and I'm in 5th grade, and I just started this year.
Hi, I'm Addie. This is my first year of robotics, and I'm in 5th grade.
I'm Jeffrey, and this is my first year of robotics in 5th grade.
Do you want to talk about why you joined robotics?
I joined robotics because I wanted to learn how to build a robot, and while I was building the robot, I had to learn about torque and gears to help my robot be able to lift up a ball. And we had to fix it a lot of times.
Do you want to talk about? So then we build these robots, and every year there's a game that the robots are built specifically for. So there's criteria and constraints that the robots have to meet. Do you want to talk about competitions?
So this year the competition was rapid relay, and you have 1 minute to score as many points as possible. And most of those points come from passing with other robots. So teamwork is crucial for this game this year, and that's all I have to say.
Jeffrey, do you want to talk about competition process and how it goes? What happens when you go to competition?
So when you go to a competition, it's usually set up with the field, like 2 or 3 fields on the floor which you can battle in. And then there's skills fields, which you only have 3. You can only use the skills field 3 times. And then there's practice fields where you can practice with the other teams you're going with.
Basically, you can also get awards for like engineering notebooks. They also help you like a lot. You have to write down like what page you're on, like what you did with your robot, and yeah, that's about it. I don't know. Oh yeah, you also do the interviews. The interviews are like they tell you like how you made your robot, like the design of it, and like in modifications you did. Like they'll ask you questions about it. Like, yeah, you can get extra points with interviews too.
So Quashnet is the only school at this age level that is competing with Vex Robotics. There's lots of middle school and high schools around, but we're the only one at this level. So the kids that we're competing against are robot academies, not even private schools, just robot academies where these kids are paying lots and lots of money after school and on weekends and during the summer to go do these programs. We're a feeder program for the middle high school. So, I mean, it's just a 2-year program here, but then they go up to the high school. The game changes, the parts that they're using change, but then they're in that program for up to 6 years. And so by the time they leave, they have a solid understanding of mechanics and teamwork and all the many problems that can go wrong when you're trying to build a robot.
And working together with peers is, part of the process as well. And also, the fact that these kids did so well up against that high level of competition is just an attest to how hard they work every day that they're at robotics. So it's really been fun to watch.
We have 3 teams in the state championship.
Wow.
You gonna pick some balls up?
Oh my gosh. I remember the robotics days and how intense sitting in that crowd can be sometimes.
How far will I throw the ball? Will it throw it over here to me? Or is that too far?
No, so we didn't bring the whole game set up, but there were...
They had to shoot
They
them
were
into a
nets.
tower. That's how you accumulate points.
Yeah, there were goals. They had 4 goals switches. They were...
I think it's important to note too that where Jamie and I are not allowed to help them really, we can help guide their thought process, but we're not allowed to really pay attention.
They're very strict, like, this is student driven.
That is awesome.
They're building it, we can get our teams disqualified if we're even touching the robot. So,
Hence the intensity of the onlookers when you notice something's not quite right.
That is cool.
Excellent job, guys.
Congrats on making it to state.
So one other thing I do, one other thing I want to add about robotics, just to drive home Mrs. Whitten's comment, is that we do in February, we have a big event here where schools come from all over the state and compete in our gymnasium. And we had, just a quick anecdote, one dad from a robot academy was so blown away by the fact that we have this for free after school. And he was telling us that he spends a few $1,000s a year to send his kid. And these kids we're the only school with kids this age, or our kids this age compete, but it costs a lot of money. So we offer that to our students. And I just think that's a big testament to Mashpee, which is awesome. I'm going to do some data real quick. Parents, please don't feel like you need to stick around. I'll give you a minute to grab your kids and get out if you want.
What are you talking about? Data's the best.
For you, it's for you, Kathy. I'm going to let them get out of here. Thank you, guys.
Can we wait though? Oh, I guess not.
Great job.
You got a video of some teaching. Can you maybe get that next time we're here?
Principal Switzer, before you go, and sorry, families. Sorry, I know you guys are packing it up, and I'm so sorry. I'm gonna be loud because I can be. Just for families, congratulations. Thank you so much for the kids who came tonight. You guys are amazing. Thank you for showing us what you guys do. You guys are so impressive. So thank you for coming out tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I want them to be ready for homeroom in the morning, so let's get them out of here. That was the best part. I'm going to go kind of quickly here, but I just go back to the fact that this was a program that I walked into and inherited, and Mrs. O'Brien and Mrs. DeBoer had built a phenomenal clubs program that I just thought was so impressive compared to where I've been, and we've had the opportunity to expand it. Mrs. Lopes has really helped me expand it. So we have 4 year-round clubs, Honor Society, Vex Robotics, which you saw, K-Kids, which you saw, and our student council. I won't read all the other clubs, but we offer 12 clubs for session 1. I'll note flag football, for example, we have about 40 students who sign up for that, so we have 2 staff members who do that. Again, just the support we got from central office. We try to cap it at 20 with 1 adult, but last year we had 40 kids sign up, and it was no problem. We got a second adult on board, and that's just really awesome. Portuguese Language Club was an addition this year. It was sponsored by a staff member who works who's on our kitchen staff at the high school, and we offered it thinking that kids would sign up to learn Portuguese. What was awesome is that we had a bunch of Portuguese speakers, a bunch of our Brazilian students who signed up who wanted to teach the other kids, and that was a really, really cool thing. Session 2 this year, you saw upcycling, which we added. 4-down football, we get tons of kids who play that one every year. That's with Mr. Souza. And then you guys, we brought the theater program here last year. We get 40 to 50 kids every year for theater. It's a huge opportunity. That's another one that I've heard from parents. They say things to me like, theater camps in the summer cost X amount of dollars. We're so fortunate that we have it here and our kids hooked on it. So I really appreciate that. 19 staff members participate. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Mr. Williams, who does before, after school. The before school stuff is really cool. Just the fact that we have 6th graders who can come and blow off some steam and play floor hockey before they go to homeroom. The 6th grade teachers really appreciate that. So just broke this down into clubs that we've added in the past couple years versus clubs that have been here for a long time. So in the last couple years, we've added Pokemon Club, Painting Club, Portuguese Language Club, gym games in the morning. Hockey was so successful, that's in the spring, that we added gym games for the fall. Food and Fun Finances, upcycling, and then all these clubs have been going on for a long time. Soccer club's an important one, because if you participate in the 5th or 6th grade soccer club, you get to play in the 5th or 6th grade soccer game, so that's a big one. And so all these clubs, and we just keep expanding and growing. As long as there's 10 kids, as long as there's 10 kids, we make it happen. So just looking at some enrollment, about 70% of our students participate in at least one club a year, which is awesome. So that's about 280 students. We're listed as 399 students. I actually think we're a little more than that because they don't update it since October. And then we have about half of the school participates in clubs both sessions. So this graph that you're looking at shows the proportion of total students in Quashnet to the students that participate in the club. So if we look at EL at the top, that blue shows 8% of our whole student body at Quashnet is EL. And we want to make sure that these grids are proportional because we want to make sure there's no group of students that we're missing, right? So this is a really nice chart to see. It's nice to see that special ed, EL, 504, and socioeconomically disadvantaged students, we're within a couple percent. So it's just reaching the whole student body. There's nobody being left out, and that's just a really important note. And that's taking some work, making sure we have things that are translated that are going home. We do send all the signups out electronically, but then throughout the week of signups for both sessions, I have paper copies in Portuguese and in English in the cafeteria. Kids come up. We remove barriers. Parents email me all the time, hey, I didn't get the form. My kid wants to go, and I say, no problem. This email is a sign-up. We're all good, and we get them in. So just removing barriers, not trying to be super rigid on how we get kids signed up. And so you look at the bottom, about just under 70 kids were either only in fall or only in spring. Just looking, we have our gender, this is pretty accurate. If you look at our grade spans, we have a few more boys in most of our grades, so we're right there in where we want to be, within 45, 55%. Ethnicity rise, this is all proportional to our student body. So again, we have everyone participating in all different kinds of clubs. It's just a really nice chart to see. This just breaks down EL, IEP, and 504 status. It's proportional to what we want to see. EL, 8.2% of students who participate in clubs are EL. that goes right along with the 8% of our total student body. Our special ed students sign up. We have no barriers there. We have a few students who need additional supervision after school, and we make it happen. We have paraprofessionals who are willing to stay. We have a student this year who really wanted to do robotics. And in the past may not have, and we made that happen. Mrs. Whitten and Mrs. Johnson were awesome. We had a pair who stayed, and she was super successful. So just a lot of, great stories of kids who might not try extracurriculars or get to participate in a team otherwise, and we do everything we can to remove those barriers. And again, I just credit the Mashpee School District as a whole because everyone's super helpful in making that happen. Enrollment. This is our spring enrollment, so this is right now, just to take a quick look at what each session looks like. Just so you know, each session, 16 weeks. We run a fall session for 16 weeks and a spring session for 16 weeks. And we get grade level. I like to look at this one on the right. This was a really pleasant surprise because in my head I know 3rd and 4th graders sign up for all kinds of stuff. But having robotics, which is just 5th and 6th, having floor hockey, which is just 6th grade, give those students an opportunity to compete and do higher level clubs, but they don't have to worry about the younger kids there all the time versus knitting and crocheting where you can have all the grade levels and you got a 6th grader who's making a vest and then, Nico made the blanket, so that was super impressive. So we have stuff for every age of kids, and that's saying something in our building where, an interest of a 3rd grader might be very different than a 6th grader. This is a really interesting chart. Again, this is just for this spring, because I just wanted to give a snapshot of it. But we, believe it or not, have 7 kids who do 4 days a week with the clubs. And you say, how can you do 4 days a week? We only have late buses on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That means they're doing floor hockey on Friday mornings, right? So those are 7 6th graders who actually stay after school 3 days a week and are here before school 1 day a week. 104 students are here at least 1 day a week after school doing some kind of extracurricular, experiencing that social dynamic that they might not get otherwise. And they are not home on the screens. That's a big one, too. That's really, I've heard a lot of feedback from parents on that. This is awesome. I do drive home the late bus. We've tried to cut down our rides on late buses, so one of the messages I do send out to parents is that if you can pick your kid up, please do. We need to reserve the late buses for people who really need it, and the community responded, which I really appreciate. We're getting every kid home. Kids are getting out of club and on the late bus by around 4:30, and we're getting every kid home now by about 5:30, and I know that's a big improvement. I give Ms. Lopes a lot of credit on that. She's worked on that for some time. So about 60% of our kids get picked up, which is awesome. And then we have about a quarter of the kids who need a ride, and we provide that here at Quashnet, which we're so fortunate to have. This one I'm really proud of. It shows this is the late bus riders. So we have 53 late bus riders this spring, and 65% of our students who ride the late bus are economically disadvantaged. These students, they might have a parent who's working an evening shift, or they have a parent with a younger sibling or whatever it may be, and transportation, financial restraints have proven difficult to participate in private extracurriculars, but here at Quashnet, we provide that and we can get them home. So this is a really, really nice thing to see, and the late bus is just, I just can't say enough about it and how much it's improved over the last few years, and I give Mrs. Lopes a ton of credit. She's really helped us with that and making sure every kid knows. The other thing I'll say is if you want to put a true statement on the connected community of Mashpee, think about how many kids carpool. I have never had a kid in the before school, because one of the things I worry about before school is kids getting here. Few times I've had a parent reach out and say, my kid can't come to hockey. Takes me no time at all to find another parent and say, I'm going to pick them up, or I'll drop them off. I mean, it's really just amazing. We have multiple kids who carpool to and from clubs, which is awesome. I generate a list of things that, I think are just known benefits for clubs, and then I'm just going to read these highlighted ones. There's too many to go over, but just a safe space to discover talents. I think about those 3 third graders who taught you how to crochet. Some of them didn't know what crocheting was until they got here, and they're super into it, and that's just awesome. The communication, even them just talking to you, we worry about our kids' communication skills with everything digital in our world. The conflict resolution that our kids need to have, that we see happen at flag football, at floor hockey, it's noticeable. Being able to, what? Yeah, if you can't find a piece at robotics, I've seen that. And I can't list them all. And just being able to identify passions, we take it really seriously that we're the school that, we get second graders from Coombs and we have to get them ready for middle high school. So to have things like robotics that can feed that is awesome. I really want to highlight the fact that it's a productive alternative for screen time. Kids are not going home getting in arguments with parents over screen time. This gives them something to do that's productive. And overall, kids who have clubs have a better attitude towards school. I have had a few kids that I've struggled with attendance, and if they have, say, the kid who has rugby on a Tuesday, I'm like, what's the pattern here? You've never missed a Tuesday. Oh, I do rugby with Mr. Souza. I'm like, if only I could have rugby happen every day. So it is a really powerful thing to get kids to school as well. Just some benefits for family. It really does take down childcare costs. I think that's huge. I know many students, these 3 or 4 parents that I've personally spoken to, and I'm sure there's more, whose parents say sign up for 3 clubs because that's really important. And they do, and they're into it, and we provide that, and then they don't have to worry about child care costs after school. The second column, I just want to highlight this column because I think it removes a lot of barriers when we're talking about enrolling students in private activities. I get that our soccer club is not ACI, world class, traveling to tournaments, but I also know that some of those programs, those private soccer teams cost $3,000, $3,500. So being able to play soccer after school here, and we make it a little enticing, but if you go to the club, you get to play in the big game, and the whole school gets to watch. So just taking away financial constraints for parents. We remove transportation challenges. Also, lack of information is a problem for parents who want to get their kids involved in extracurricular activities. I feel comfortable saying we don't have that issue by the number of students we get involved and how many different ways we get this information out. Scheduling conflicts, if you're driving 3 different kids all over the place, don't worry about it. Your kid's here for an hour. And then there can be complex paperwork other places, not here. An email, school status connect. Most people do the form, which I appreciate, but there's a million ways to break through it. I've had things forwarded to me from teachers. The parent reaches out, no problem, we get them in. And then cultural and language barriers. We make sure we try to have cultural-based clubs. We just pointing out the staff versus student hockey game is a huge event every year. If you do the hockey club, you get to do that. And we do things like theater performances, robotics competitions. Parents get to see their kids really highlighted and succeed in areas beyond academics. So I know we took up a lot of time, but the kids are awesome. My part's not as great, but if you guys have any questions or comments, I'm happy to take them or answer them the best I can.
When's the staff student field hockey game?
So this year, because we divided up MCAS days, we're doing it the day between MCAS in April. So I think it's April 7th. April 9th. Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Meyer. She knows what's going on.
I'm thankful for her.
Dan?
I'll just add a ton of gratitude for the teachers, obviously, who are doing this. Having a child who does participate in it, it is huge, and what she's been able to experience has been phenomenal, and I've seen the growth with her. And also kudos to the staff who is manning/womaning the parking lot at the end of the day. So thank you for all of your care around that as well. So it's wonderful, and these kids are wonderful.
Thanks.
Kathy,
Thank you.
I had questions for the kids, but I'm going to pivot. So
I'm sorry.
it's okay. I'm impressed by all of it. My daughter participated in clubs when she was in this building, and I firmly believe that extracurriculars like these that are varied, robotics club alone, those skills those kids learn on the fly, when those things break and you're watching them put those minds to work to come up with the fixes to get back in, it's amazing. And it just is a testament, and having 3 teams go to state like that, that's phenomenal. And I couldn't be more proud of the work you're doing, and you should hopefully also be patting yourselves on the back because it's a testament to you as teachers and how you're encouraging these kids to think a little outside the box and really do that. And same with all of the teachers doing these various things. Crocheting. He told me he made that blanket in 2 days, which I was like, I've worked on projects like that size that are taking me like a month. So it was kind of, it's great to see the varied interests of our students and see them kind of latch on to something that is learning without them realizing they're learning. And I think that's just as valuable sometimes as what they're picking up in the books. And their reading. So thank you for continuing the program. Looking forward to seeing it continue for a very long time because it is very important, as you stated.
Yeah, and I'll just say thank you back to all of you as the people who manage the budget. And like, this is, as someone who's been in DY and found, but there's nothing close to this. I mean, I was blown away when I got here, and the way that it's just, we continue to grow it. And so just thank you to all of you. I think it's really a testament to this town and our dedication to the kids. This is one of those, it takes a village type of thing. So thanks.
All right, Kelly, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I just, as a parent of a kid that has, I think, done every possible club he could do and tried to do two at the same day, I give him props. Building friendships, building relationships with your peers, like you say, conflict resolution. These kids are competitive. They want to win. They want to get it done, and how they work as a team to actually accomplish something is kudos to the people that are, the adults that are standing there helping them. As a basketball coach with 12-year-olds, I get the stress, I get the pain. But when you guys win your state championships, there's nothing more of a greater accomplishment than seeing those kids smile and accomplished and saying, look what I did. So kudos to all of you, and you know, any other clubs or activities that these kids think they can bring on in, bring it on in. I mean, keep them busy. I love the no screen time, it's great.
Brian, do you have anything you want to say?
No, I just want to say, top of time, thank you.
All right, and I'll just wrap it up here in regard to, you know, it's amazing what the kids are doing. It all starts really, you know, with the hard work of the staff, the administration, and in particular the parents who are helping support them. You know, school committee, from my perspective, has always been supportive of these activities. We feel that it's important to go from the classroom to outside of the classroom and demonstrate how what you learn in the classroom is transferable outside. And I think you guys are doing a fantastic job, and I look forward to seeing that continue indefinitely. So congratulations, you're doing a great job. Next year, same time. Okay?
And thank you, Don. I hope that showed you some of the fruits of your labor, because I know you've fought hard for that. So thank you guys very much.
All right, thank you. All right, let's...
Les étudiants de France. My favorite.
We have a shout out from the French teacher, Lori Jensen, and her students.
Yeah, that might, I'm gonna go left-handed on it, yeah. All right. So, I am Lori Jensen, and I'm a French teacher at Mashpee Middle High School, and I'm here with my colleague, Tim Rumberger, and some of our students who traveled with us. So, we're excited to be on the flip side of our trip. We came to you in June of last year and asked permission to travel to Nice, France for a week of immersion experience. And it was absolutely incredible. An amazing group of kids, and travel went really, really well. And we would like to just share some highlights with you from the experience. I'm just going to say a few words first, and then I'll hand the mic to the kids and you can hear from them. We did do some fundraising very quickly over the summer. We did 3 fundraisers between summer and fall. We raised $2,600 for the trip, so that was a really quick turnaround. And then we had our countdown, our 100-day countdown in the hallway at the high school, and it was funny as the days were ticking off, just the excitement building, and how many times the kids came to me and they said, Mrs. Jensen, like, I cannot believe this is really happening. This is very much happening. We had parent meetings, and it was just a good preparation for the trip. And then on the 15th of February, we left the parking lot at Mashpee Middle High School with the kids in the van, and that was like, this is really happening. We had a great flight over to Lisbon and then to Nice. We had students on our trip. 4 of them had never flown before, and I didn't even realize that there were that many. So to watch them glued to the window as we're taking off from Boston and they were de-icing the plane outside, you know, it was just really fun. And then we landed in Nice nice, and they went with their host families right off the bat. They were speaking French with these French hosts, and they were eating authentic meals, and they were trying their French. And we went to the Matisse Museum that first day. I should be showing more pictures here. This is our whole group together on the Promenade des Anglais in Nice. And every morning we met for language classes. They had 3 hours of language school, and I wondered, how would that go, 3 hours of lessons? And they loved it. They came out happy. They were excited. Their teachers were really engaging, and they learned so much from their lessons, but it was also just kind of feedback that they had learned a lot here at school, and it was confidence building. The lessons that they had were very interactive, and so they were listening and they were speaking, and it was like, yes, I've got this, I can do this. So that was really fun. Every afternoon we did excursions with our amazing guide Sylvain. It was difficult to leave him. The kids really enjoyed our guide. He gave us all kinds of history and just kind of interesting insights to the towns and the villages that we visited. And I was so proud of our students. They were amazing. They were the ones who motivated me to do the trip. Their excitement in the classroom, their asking from the first year that I came to Mashpee, they said, can we go on a trip? I was like, okay, and so we did it. And they were just amazing ambassadors for our town. They were flexible, they were patient, they were problem solvers, they represented us well. The guide said that this is actually the best group that he's ever had, and he's been a guide for a long time. So proud of them, so much fun. But as a teacher, watching them put into practice the things that they had learned, but also building relationships with one another, exploring, right, the light in their eye when they successfully ordered something, they spoke to me in French the entire time. They didn't even use English. I'm like, yes, well done, well done. So it was fun. They asked me before we even left, can we do it again? So we would love to, in the future, go to Paris and Lyon and maybe even do an exchange where we have some kids from France come to Mashpee, and then we go and stay with them. I think it would be really cool. But it's their excitement, their motivation, their curiosity that inspires me and motivates me. So I would like you to hear from them. They lived it, and I'm just so proud of them as students. And it was so much fun. It was a working vacation, and I was exhausted when we came back. I think we all were. We walked thousands and thousands of steps during the time that we were there, saw so much, but it was just really inspiring, and I was so energized by the whole thing that I just didn't get tired while I was there. So, all right, I'm going to hand this to Abby because she's got dance class.
Hi, my name is Abby Glenn. I'm a sophomore, and I've been taking French for 3 years. I was really excited to have this opportunity to travel to France with my class, and it was a really big change for me personally for independence. I had to learn to, with my friends, with my small group of friends every day, traveling on our own, navigating through tram systems and bus systems and walking through the city with our little group to get from point A to point B to point C, and we're traveling to all these different places in one day. We're walking from our house to school, and then maybe we're walking from school, we're getting lunch together in the city. We're going to the train station. We're going on excursions, breaking off into small groups. Most of the time in my life, I depend on my parents and my other people to take me where I'm going, and I don't really know where I'm going. But I had to grow and learn in that place and learn how to navigate through a completely different environment on my own, and it was really character building for me.
Saw the mountains, the landscapes, they were crazy. It was amazing to see the snow-tipped mountains without any clouds. Sky was clear. The waters, it was amazing. We got to see some of the Alps on the plane ride. I think it was to Nice. Yeah, we got to see some Alps with snow-tipped. It was amazing. Even the streets, we got to see different stores, different food vendors that there were, all these different cultures that we were able to see there in such a short amount of time. It was amazing. I'm still looking through pictures, and yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Tess. Some of you know me. So
During this trip, I really pushed myself to go because I was really nervous, but I told myself that I have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So everything there is out of the normal. It's just like, I don't know, it's out of the bubble wrap of Mashpee, and everything is very, a lot smaller there in Europe, like the bathrooms and like the rooms, the kitchen tables even. Let's see, in language school, we got to talk with another group of Italian students, and it was really cool because our common language was French, and we learned about their lives and the similarities between us, like our favorite music artists and stuff. We had a lot of those in common, which was really cool. I loved speaking French in real life and actual situations and hearing French like literally everywhere. Whether you're at a cafe or with your host family, you get to really talk a lot of French. And I highly recommend because I'll remember this forever.
Okay, hi, my name is Grace, and this was my first time traveling abroad and flying on a plane. And personally, I'm also a very shy person, so this is very out of place, but I feel like I'll take any chance to get out anywhere. So at first, I think I was very nervous about these other students and also like my classmates. I feel like I didn't know my classmates very personally, and I felt like maybe I would get worried. And I found my students as well, and rooming with them and everything. But as soon as we got there, we landed, I feel like everything clicked. Everyone was very helping, and it felt like we were family already. And so I feel like that was very nice, and I think stuff like that is very important for young adults, and it helps you learn a lot.
Hi, my name is Anna Jensen. The biggest thing on this trip for me was the amount of language that we were exposed to. It was something that I had never had before, being a level 2 student. I was the first time that I was really clicking into that language. The mindset was constantly going to French, constantly hearing it everywhere. I think I can speak for all of us when we said that, when we came back, we felt so much more confident in our French. We really had learned a ton. From language school, ordering, as you had said before, but yeah, and it was kind of strange coming back, hearing everybody speaking English. It was what? This isn't French. Speaking some English with our peers from Mashpee, but not with everybody else in the world around us. So it was a bit strange, but yeah, definitely the exposure to it, feeling more confident when we came back, and definitely as the trip progressed, towards the end, it was feeling oh yeah, now I'm finally really into it. And then we were leaving, and it was oh my goodness. But yeah, really positive experience.
Je n'ai pas beaucoup à ajouter, sauf que vous remercier, et à madame aussi, et les oh, sorry, I'm trying to help you feel more, in the French environment. So I'm the department head, and when Madame Jensen came to me and said, can we do a trip? Absolutely. She said, I'll lead it. So great. So I just was along for the ride. I was a chaperone, but as everyone said, we got so close, everyone bonded so well, and to see Europe through the eyes of students was an absolute transformative experience. So, and also Madame Jensen talked about how smoothly the trip went, and that's a credit to her organizational skills, to her meticulous attention to detail, but also this wonderful group of students that we have, and we are always going to have these memories to cherish along with. And also to the school committee for being authorizing this trip and being open-minded to it. So, encore, merci.
So you stayed with host families, you said? Does anybody have any funny story? Was there a weird dinner that they served one night? I know my experience in France when I had my host family. They're like, "Oh, we're having spaghetti tonight." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I'm waiting for the sauce to come, and they put a bottle of ketchup on the table. And I'm like, So, does anybody have any funny experiences like that?
I kind of have one.
Yes, okay.
Well, I learned that saying "c'est d'accord" in French, it's okay. Means that like you agree with it and not like no thank you, because our host mother asked us if we wanted more like pasta, and we're like, no, c'est d'accord, and she gave us more, and we're like, wait, what? So we had to learn that the hard way, and shove down a few more bites of pasta.
You walked it off.
Yeah. Yep. Anyone else?
It was also crazy to have like a one-on-one experience with another French person during dinner, breakfast, lunch, sometimes. It was crazy to see like the type of foods that they would bring out, because when we were in Nice, it was like pretty close to Italy, so there was some spaghetti, some lasagna, Italian foods, and it was delicious, by the way. I'm just saying, it was so good. But yeah, it was just a really good time getting to know our host families, getting to know about their lives in France and what they do. It was an amazing experience. So yeah.
Right here.
My thanks to the kids for coming. Thank you so much for having me.
Next item of business is approval of the minutes of February 26, 2025. You're in the packet, page 1.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Motion by Kathy, second by Dan. Any comment or discussion? Hearing none. Dan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Brian?
Abstain.
And I'll vote yes. 4 plus 1 abstention. Next item, representative from the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Education Department.
Thank you for your patience and stuff.
Oh, it was wonderful. Not around kids that often, so that was a treat.
They're so much fun, they make it so much easier.
When he went up, Natas Luis Roxanne Mills Brown, Nuthamas Masipiat, Natai Falmathat. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Roxanne Mills Brown, the Education Director for the Tribal Education Department of the tribe. I'm from Mashpee. My ancestors are. I grew up in Falmouth, and I graduated from Lawrence High School. Came back in 2018 from being away for so many decades and began working with the Education Department of the tribe. It's been a little while, I think, since we've met with the school committee. Quite a bit has happened, and I'll try to be as brief as I can, but there's quite a bit here. We had an American Rescue Plan, American Indian Resilience and Education Grant from November 2021 until February 28th of 2025. We got a no-cost extension for 3 months to complete as much as we could the project down at the Mashpee Farm, which was the traditional village home site. And we hope to be able to take groups of classes there for educational purposes. However, the following programs will not be able to be financially supported until such time as we receive either additional grants or donations or come into additional funding. That will be driver's education, dual enrollment, internships, and college visits. And I'll tell you more a little bit later about a new possibility or opportunity available. Lunch bunches will continue at Quashnet and we'll be looking for funding for Casey Coombs School. That probably won't happen this spring, but certainly we hope that it will come fall of '25. Tribal boys and tribal girls will continue with funding from the tribe's child care services under their quality initiative line item. So we want to thank them for that assistance there. The tribe's Indian education program serves Falmouth, Bourne, Sandwich, Wareham, New Bedford, Barnstable, and the Weetamoo School. And as many of you know or may not know, that grant is the same grant that Mashpee School District has. So under that grant, we are not able to serve Mashpee. It should be noted, these grants and funds are supplemental to the regular programming of the district, so we can never supplant, we can never do the job of the school, but we can always help to support the efforts in some way or another. I want to let you know a little bit about our Native American Teacher Retention Initiative. To this point, we've held, I think, 5 hybrid classes entitled Introduction to Mashpee Wampanoag Culture and Best Practices as Professional Learning Communities. They're held at Mashpee Middle High School Library, Thursday evenings, 4:45 to 6:15 p.m. Currently, there are 40 participants, so we have in-person as well as those on Zoom. There are 45 PDPs that are available for this series of workshops. There is also 2 graduate credits from Fitchburg State that participants can sign up for. There's an extensive syllabus. We have the schedule if you're ever interested. If we don't have it posted to our website, we will. Our website's mashpeewampanogeducation.org, and it's probably, I think it's a year old now, and we're constantly looking for feedback. So if you have a minute, never hesitate to let us know what you think or what we could do more effectively. Our tribal education team is meeting with the Mashpee School District administrators, and Dr. Thompson and the new superintendent, Michelle, I hope will be there as well. We've discovered that there is an opportunity available entitled Native Youth Community Projects. And we've had that grant before. When I stepped into the department in 2018, that grant was, I think, in its second of the 3-year grant cycle. We've come so far, and we've learned so much, and we've acquired data since that time. And we really believe there are some things that we can put on the table with Mashpee School District in advance of applying for the grant so that we're all kind of on the same page. And this will probably be the first time we've consulted and met prior to getting awarded the grant and saying, this is what we have, now let's go. So I'm really looking forward to the feedback, input, and recommendations from that team. Let's see. Since 2018, we've done a lot, like I just said, with programs. And I want to just thank the district for being able to share Native student school data with the department. And I can't tell you what that has done for not only informational purposes, use in grants, but even for working with families and knowing how to plan and what to include in these grants. We contracted with a data steward until I think sometime in June. That contract and the work that the data steward has assembled for us will allow us to hopefully advertise for a part-time data steward of our own in the department. And we have an individual in our department that is most interested in applying for that position. It really has elevated us. It's allowed us to provide insight even to the district on ethnicity and race codes. There's a whole conglomeration of people, and we don't think of it in that way most often. We kind of see people as you're this, or you're this, or this is your background, or point of origin. And so, again, I just really want to thank the districts for allowing us to do that. Falmouth has been accommodating as well. And lastly, we're still working with Barnstable. They have a different type of student information system. It's not Power School. And we've just recently inundated them with information as to the legitimacy of us as a tribal education department. And it started with the ordinance, Tribal Education Department ordinance from our tribal council. And it is a national and federal acknowledged entity. And we will fight every day to get the feds to acknowledge us in FERPA, to be able to have access to information on our own children, because we are their first place of origin, and then the state comes next and the feds come next. And I guess I've said enough, because now I'm forgetting where I'm going with this. But it's very important for us to be able to help guide our kids. And if we don't know who the kids are, what their circumstances are, it's very difficult to do that in a system that is really external to our traditional community. But I want to say thank you. It was nice to meet you today, and I look forward to meeting with you on the 31st. So, questions?
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a quick one. You mentioned some of the federal funds and grants are no longer available. Have you heard anything from the state level about helping the tribe like supplement or help with those costs? I know some people have been talking about that, but I also know, like, the school district, we're going to continue to support as best we can, obviously, because these programs, I mean, I'm very sad to hear, like, college visits and dual enrollment, those two especially, because I know how valuable they were to the Wampanoag students who were able to take advantage of them. And hearing that, unfortunately, they've kind of become victims of the current landscape has me a little saddened.
Okay, I can kind of clarify, because
Okay.
that wasn't my intent to make you think that. The grant that ended was a 3-year grant.
Okay.
And it ended its natural life cycle.
Okay.
This new grant, the NYCP grant, that grant focuses on college and career preparedness heavily, as well as early childhood academic strength and achievement. And so life skills will be certainly a part of this preparation for college and career internships on a different level. And so we will look to resume those types of things. It's amazing how many of our young people did not have driver's licenses as young 20-year-olds. And so I think this piece is very important as well, the driver's ed.
Yeah, I was unaware about that. I think because we talk more about, we've heard more about the dual enrollment. I didn't realize driver's ed, but that is
Yeah.
also a very valid point, because obviously they need to get to the jobs or the internships. So,
Yeah.
no,
And
I applaud the work that you're doing in the department, and I hope we as a committee can continue to support you in any way we can.
Thank you. And I know our tribal council, as our chairman sits on the school committee, we have met with the governor, and so we do have an agenda to bring forward to her to be sure that the state recognizes, acknowledges, and provides support for not only our tribe, but the other tribes in Massachusetts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
I just think it's really important to look at the partnership and really evaluate the partnership. I think that it has worked in the past, but it seems like a lot of the time, it's not just the schools, but they like to call them the tribe. And, we pay for everybody else. We pay consultants to come in. All the cultural performances and things that the tribe does, lot of times, people reach out to the tribe during, Native American Heritage Month. It was in 2011 when I was a senior. I did my first senior project, and it was a powwow here at the Quashnet School. But it was my senior project that kind of started that, and the tribe is happy to help out. But I think that we need to kind of start looking at, putting our money where our mouth is, so to speak, so that we can support some of these initiatives. The only thing we have really is a space at the high school that's dedicated to the Indian education program, and those funds go all towards tutoring. So I think that we also need to look at that grant and start looking and being creative on how we can find supplemental funding to fund these programs. And I think that that's something we can talk about at the joint meeting with the tribal council. But I do think that it is something that we should just be aware of moving forward. Even though it is free, and it doesn't seem like anything's free these days, there still should be some kind of compensation, or we should look at some kind of an agreement to make sure that we can continue to provide those services as well.
Can I just ask a clarifying question, Mr. Whedon? My understanding was we did pay for, like, I know when the dancers come, and I thought we did compensate, and we do compensate when we have cultural events that feature and showcase the culture of the Wampanoag to our school district. Is that, can we get clarification on that?
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, I mean, I
Yes,
totally agree with what
Yes.
Mr. Whedon's saying. I guess I'm just trying to make sure that if there's room to increase and provide more, then yes, let's do that. I 100% agree. I want to make sure we're clear that we aren't, if there is something there, what is it and how do we increase to help do exactly what was just said?
I think it goes towards the services, like you're paying the drummers and people that are experts to come in because they work, and it's not realistic to have people leave their work schedules.
Yes.
And that's why people are fairly compensated, but all that compensation goes towards the performers, not towards the tribe.
Oh, okay, thank you for clarifying that. Thank you.
Roxanne, the fact that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, did you say that as of the spring of this year, there's no more lunch bunch at Coombs?
Correct. We do not have the staff nor the funding to have a contractor or somebody to come into Coombs School for the lunch bunches. We also serve Falmouth for lunch bunch. We do Morse Pond School and the Lawrence School, Quashnet, and then I think one of our...
Well, my concern with that is, honestly, I'm sure in our budget somewhere, we can find money to continue that with the Native students, because I personally know how that affects them, personally, socially, academically. I've seen it with my own eyes. I hear it with my own ears. I can take my friend here, or I can take my friend there, and it's not necessarily all Wampanoag students that are in this lunch bunch. This is our whole community that is part of these things. So I would try to figure out on our side as a school committee what we can do in looking through our budget of how we could help you as the tribe, help our community as a whole that we all belong to, so that these children are getting what they need and what they deserve. So I'd like to sit and actually have those conversations with you guys to figure out, like, how can we get this done? How can we, as the school committee, help the tribe to make our whole community better? So it's just, that really bothers me. And the driver's education, the same type of thing. The college tours, like, not for nothing, we find money from somewhere to pay for something else. There's gotta be something that we, as a school committee, as a district, as a town, can do to support the tribe.
Appreciate
For
that.
point of clarity, you had talked about it being prospectively available in the fall. Just out of my curiosity, what's the difference right now? Is it staffing or funding that makes it
It's
not-
both. It's both. When the grant ended, we actually lost 2 staff people with the ARP Air grant ending. One of whom is now a contractor, which is Darius, and he's in Falmouth, he's at Quashnet, and he does other work on his own since he doesn't have a full-time job with us anymore. So that's really the issue. It's both human resource as well as the funding together.
And may I ask a question of Principal O'Brien? Lunch bunches are not happening at all, or is it just the tribal lunch, like the ones that are facilitated by the education department? Are we still facilitating lunch bunches with our guidance counselors as was past practice? So it's primarily the tribal. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
I think it's also important to keep it on our radar that grants aren't going to be sustainable with this political climate that we're in. So it's not realistic to think that these grants are going to keep on funding these services. That's why we need to look at it, from our side too, and start looking at, the budget to see how we can help.
Well, I agree. I think we should definitely put it on a future agenda to have that conversation.
Mrs. O'Brien, how many of the tribal students or the Wampanoag students at Coombs have asked about their lunch bunches? Or was it explained to them that they wouldn't be having it anymore?
Darius had talked to the students. He absolutely would meet with them before he left to do his other jobs. They are disappointed, there's no question. It's a loss to us. It's a loss to the whole school community. We are very lucky to have Randy, who is very supportive of every single student, but he definitely, he represents a lot of families, and it's great to have him there, but it's not the same as bringing a group of students. And you make a great point, Kelly, that it is our Wampanoag lunch bunch, but it encompasses the whole school community. It truly is a loss for our children. And it's disappointing.
Like Brian said, unfortunately, in the political climate we live in, we probably are going to see less and less grants coming from any type of governmental entity. And I feel personally, and sitting here as a member of the school committee, we are doing our children a disservice by not being able to work with or help the tribe in doing this stuff. And that's just my opinion.
I am happy to report I do have two new, relatively new paraprofessionals at Coombs who started after the beginning of the year, who are both members of the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe.
Awesome.
So that has been very beneficial.
Dan, you had one
I was
last
just going
comment?
to say, I think to Mr. Whedon's point and to the rest of the committee, it sounds like there is a willingness and excitement to look at what we have and what we can provide to support, obviously what we've talked about tonight, what you've shared. So I also do look forward to seeing this either at one of our future committee meetings or even as a starting point in some of the work groups budgetary-wise of looking at where things are at currently and kind of presenting forward.
All right. I think this is important to learn that we have this issue, particularly with the Casey Coombs. I think if we can be more proactive in the communication between the school committee and the tribe so that we have an opportunity to potentially save programs before the funding dries up on them, that would help. And I think it'll be important in the future. I think when the school committee and the tribe get together later this year in a joint meeting, this should be one of the conversation items to be discussed. And I think it's important, like what has been said here by Kelly and others, the school committee look at the budget closely to see what resources we may have available to help support this and to be proactive in the future. So, thank you.
Yeah. Tabatanamo, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Next, we have our student alternate representative.
Who's talking? Tess talking?
Tess? So if you would introduce yourselves.
I'm Tess Roger. I was with the French group before, and I'm a junior. Hi, my name is Kira. I'm a freshman, and we both just joined the student advisory committee recently. Yeah, he can't be here tonight, so we're just like, here for him. So, do you want to talk about the
Just
topic?
before you get into it, just make sure the people at home can't hear unless you're like right in front of the mic, so. And you're both very soft-spoken, so.
So I know that during our last meeting, I briefly talked about our composting program that we started. So a recent update on that is we were recognized by the Green Team, which is a state-level program in Massachusetts for our efforts, and I think it was posted on their landing page. And then we've also started setting up a recycling program alongside of the composting for like, I think it's like other processing. It's exciting, and we're looking forward to furthering our program.
Okay.
The composting is going great. It's pretty easy. We just gotta be pretty careful with sorting out our trash. But another thing, Eve isn't here because she has a Beetlejuice Junior Theater. Is it a musical?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. It's on Friday, I believe.
Friday and Saturday,
Friday and Saturday. So yeah.
7 o'clock. Be there or be square.
So exciting. That's all I know.
All right, excellent, thank you, and welcome.
Have you guys had, is your meeting schedule kind of set? Have you guys worked on, like, are you meeting more regularly now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for him? Nope? Well, thank you very much, and you're welcome to stay, or if you need to go home, you can go home too. All right, next, Dr. Thompson.
Sharing a mic. Yeah. Doesn't help if you're sitting at home, though. All right, so first I'd like to have the principals talk a little bit about our last two professional days. These were building-based, and did you guys draw straws to see who was going to go first? Got to grab a mic, though.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, we'll start.
Yeah. Just come to the table, please.
Yeah, so just quickly, we had, I'll never do that. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So I think we're supposed to be presenting about the half-day and the full day, right? So March 3rd. The half-days, Hope organized at the beginning of the school year, 7-part series, and I believe that she had that approved through you guys, which was great. The teachers are really enjoying that because they get to pick their own, and it's typically their colleagues who are running those, which is really great. At the middle high school, because there was a time gap, we were kind of short on enough for both sessions. There's 2 sessions for each half day. So I offered to start a trauma-informed practices PD because that's kind of my, specialty, I guess you could say. And I love designing teacher PD. So I can only speak to what my session was about. We were in, I believe, our 5th session. We have 2 sessions left. And I actually have my agenda that I'll give you guys a copy of. This last one was independent work where I had them read an article about the power of educator EQ, basically like emotional intelligence, like a teacher's ability to read the room, which is very important in education. And they had some videos. They had a note catcher that they had to fill out, and they'll bring that to the April session, and we will engage in discussion. So all of my sessions have been very collaborative and requires them to share their own stories and things that they've experienced in the classroom. So that's what we did on the half day. On the full day, I was actually really excited that we were allowed to give some time. So the second half of the day, the educators got their own time in their classroom. They could work with their mentors. They could do, that is so incredibly important to teachers because so much of their time is dictated by duties, by, I mean, they have hallway duty, lunch duty, they do have their preps, but it's a lot. Like, it's a lot to be a teacher in a day. So the second half of the day, and I also have the agenda here for that, the second half of the day, it was individual time and workspaces with mentors, and I believe we all did that, which I think was great for the district. But the morning, we had boring MCAS training first, and then we had an hour of MTSS where teachers signed up to talk about MTSS has to look different at the secondary level. It's not the same in elementary. So teachers have to sign up. They talk about specific students that they may be struggling with. It's a problem-solving time. They get 10-minute increments where they can talk about students and walk away with some things that might help with specific students. But then, Mashpee Middle High School's been through a lot. So I've been trying to do some culture building with the staff because if the staff isn't happy, the kids aren't either, right? So I'm trying to, and they don't have to be happy, but they have to enjoy coming to work. So I love doing culture building things. So I did have an activity that was secret until the end, and Kelly's laughing because her husband was there. It was secret until MTSS was over, and then they finally got their MMHS staff selfie scavenger hunt. So they had to have, they came in knowing that they had to have groups of 3 to 6, and I am going to give each of you one of these packets, and if you click on this little QR code, you will see some of their artwork. And what I was told from teachers was that it was one of the best days that they've ever had. Because it also made them go around the campus. Like, it wasn't just about, like, let's be friends and be silly. Like, they had to find things on the campus. Teachers don't typically leave their classroom area or like the cafeteria. Like when I was at Plouffe Middle School for 9 years, I did something like this, and there were teachers who taught on the first floor their whole career and had never been on the third floor. Like that's, you just kind of go to your spot, you go to your lunch spot, you use that bathroom, you leave. Like, so they were saying like, I didn't even know that like that was there, and so that's what we did. And I'll give you a little, but take a look at the pictures because they're very classic. There's 317 pictures posted.
Nice.
So they got into it. Oh my God, yes. They had a little too much fun, but it was good.
There's not a such thing as too much.
It was good. It was only an hour, and then they got lunch, and that was that.
I can tell you, Miss Brady, they absolutely enjoyed themselves, and they had a field day. And, those who shared with their students afterwards, hey, guess what we get to do?
Yeah.
Guess what we get to do?
Well, now the students, why can't we do that?
That was exactly the classroom. Well, why can't we do that stuff?
Yeah.
So if we can implement some type of lesson
Yeah.
in a school, that would be phenomenal.
Wouldn't it be amazing? See, what I like to do as an administrator is model things that teachers should do. So all my lessons are very engaging, this very engaging.
They had a blast.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right.
All right, I'll just say right out the gate, I can't top selfies, but I respect it. That sounds great. So the half day was the continuation of the 7-part series. There's all kinds of workshops that are happening those days that teachers have been doing all year, from things like Lexia to targeting reading skills to MTSS. And our staff, those who haven't, are still working with Dr. Wernham on their diversity training. I was really proud of the staff for the work that we did on the whole day. It was actually awesome to have a building-based day. We, like the high school, are dealing with the fact that there's a brand-new MCAS portal. I'm not sure how much people are aware of that, but the state has moved to a different portal after 10 years with Pearson Access Next. We always worry about the technology gap, so we spend a good 90 minutes with our staff getting them ready on that platform. They have to be comfortable with it in order for the kids to be comfortable with it. That's led to some practice tests in class. You think about those 5th and 6th graders who have done it for a few years, and all of a sudden they're going to get on and the platform looks completely different. So we're dealing with that challenge, and so is every other school in the state. But I also see it as a little bit of an advantage if our teachers are ready. So we need to spend a lot of time on that. So we did that. We also did an hour session with a representative from ST Math about removing barriers on kids who are making progress. When you look at our ST Math data, there's lots of kids who continue to move throughout the year, but you can see these different walls that students hit where they might get 80% of their journey done, and then there's a learning gap there, or there's some they just can't move any further. So it was really informative about how to support those students getting past those gaps. And then we did a really robust PLC where our teachers were in teams, and we focus on a few different things that are things that I've heard from parents and the staff. They've been advocating for some change in a couple areas. One of them being report cards, which Mrs. O'Brien and I have talked to quite a bit. Dr. Hanscom was supporting us with that, and hopefully with the new administrative team, we're going to make some just progress on make sure how we're communicating grades to parents. So the idea is to set up the new team, so we wanted to solicit feedback. So they did team surveys that I had worked on with the instructional team leaders, so they all knew what was coming. But just to get that information so that when Dr. Connor steps in, if we want to take a look at report cards, we're ready for that. And the second is how we do awards at our level. Awards are a really, really big challenge, I think, anywhere. And I think most people are in agreement. We don't want to have an every kid wins type of thing. And at our level, unfortunately, when kids don't win, sometimes that can really harm relationship with teachers. We ask them to nominate kids. So I've heard from the staff that they just want to start to look at different ways that we can do the awards. I think, and you all probably know better, that the high school a few years ago moved to an evening award ceremony based on invites. So we had all of our teams to start digging into those two topics, and we're going to start to take a look at them. This isn't going to be an immediate change. This is an initial discussion, but just to make sure we're hearing from everyone and gathering that information. So we did PLZs. Those took a while. Those are the grade level teams. Our special team of teachers is teaming up with the counselors. They were planning No Place for Hate activity number 3. Because up till now, last year, all 3 of our activities were done in homeroom, and our 2 activities so far this year were done in homeroom. So our special teachers are taking on the 3rd challenge. We're going to do a building-wide thing on the half day in May. And then in the afternoon, as Mrs. Brady said, we spent time. Staff had the opportunity to work in their spaces and accomplish things. We had report cards coming up and other things like that. So I was really proud of the work we did, and I think it was really beneficial. So thanks.
All right, thank you.
I'll try to be really quick. So for the half day, we did the same thing. So we're good. But for the full day, I have to say too, I was really proud of our staff. And one of the really nice things is we did have our paraprofessionals there for the full day, as well as our professional staff. And it just is a great time to be able to come together as a team. And even being able to sit down at lunch tables together, to be able to come together is huge. We often don't have that. We're running from one minute to the next, trying to cover things, teach class, do all the things we do in school. So we really appreciate that. And being building-based, like Principal Switzer said, it's just such a gift because we don't have a lot of time to do that throughout the school year. We started the day with our counselors and our school psychologists presenting to the whole team about calming corners and how to use them effectively. They also were a team that were awarded a Cape Cod 5 mini grant to have these brought into the classrooms, which was really terrific. And we're working with the PTO also to provide that soft space. And it's really helping kids regulate those emotions and calm down, be in the classroom and not being pulled from that setting. So it's really an important instructional strategy and skill set to teach students. So we were really happy to have that brought to the team, and I really appreciate our guidance and school psychologists for sharing that. The other part of the morning, we spent a lot of time on the MTSS process at Coombs and implementing a covered data sheet for each student. It's something we learned about at the Dyslexia Institute that several of us took advantage of last spring. I'm getting my times messed up. But it was really effective because one of the things we've heard from our staff repeatedly is they're not getting enough information from the previous year's teacher or classroom, and they want that information to follow forward. And it is something we spend a lot of time on through our collaborative PD sessions to design what this should look like, and then just to put it in place. So we are well on our way of creating this bridge from one year to another with student data. That's very clear. And it also complies with all of the new dyslexia laws, which are really important from that K-3 perspective. So that worked out really well. Our paraprofessionals during that MTSS time, because they don't usually work with that, they had some tech training from Susie Brooks. And that was also, I think, really beneficial. I've seen some of our paras here. I know they appreciated that because they were able to ask questions. Often we ask our paras to cover a classroom, and they need to know how to use a ClearTouch, how to use different programs. And so that was really great because it was based on what they wanted. And Susie is such an expert in all of that. So it was really, I think, very beneficial. We also had the ST Math training, and we are well on pace to have our 80% for all. It was great to be able to see the platform and the data and see out of all of our students, there are approximately 34 students that are not on track to make that. So the teachers had time to kind of drill down a little into that data and see why. And often we found the kids that are not on track are kids that are getting other services during that ST Math time. So it was coming up with a plan of how to help them. So I think that was really beneficial, and having an expert from ST Math come and join us was really terrific to be able to offer that. Our preschool teachers who are not ST Mathers, they're not in that program yet, we have a new math curriculum, so they were able to spend time learning about that new math curriculum and what that looked like and looks like for pre-K. That independent class time, like Principal Bonnie, sure, Bonnie Brady, that it just is invaluable for teachers to take that time to be able to really plan their lessons, to look at where students are, go through their data. It's just such an investment in their planning and preparation for student learning. So I thank you for that. During that independent time for classroom teachers, our paras also needed something different. So they did participate in a very robust training on self-regulation strategies for students. And the feedback I've received is that it was one of the best trainings they've had on those days. And it was a webinar type structure, but the person was incredibly engaging, and it was very personalized, and they walked out with tools they could use right away. So overall, I think it was a really successful day, very busy day. I always think, oh, I'm going to catch up, and I get nothing done because it's too busy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I wanted the principals to talk, so they could talk into much more detail than I probably would have covered it, but I want to thank everybody for their efforts, and the teachers did a great job on those professional development. Looking at page 3 on enrollment, you can see our total enrollment down to 1399. That represents a loss of 3 students. Sorry?
You lost them.
I know, well, hopefully we'll find them. On page 4, you have the personnel update. We have hired one paraprofessional that I informed you of at the end of last week. We're still looking for another one for the middle high school, one for the Coons, and a library media specialist. Actually, that position, we have a long-term sub in there. That position, we have found the person to fill the position, but she will come over at the beginning of the next year. So Timothy Galligan joined the middle high school as a paraprofessional, and Danielle Brault joins the Washington. Okay. And then moving on from there, update, and I'll ask Dr. Gould to fill in if there's anything she wants to add. But we are in the process of collaborating with Dr. Carnes on filling her central office. Assistant Superintendent, we're going to have final interviews tomorrow morning. Initial interviews for the Director of Special Education tomorrow afternoon. Friday afternoon, Director of Finance. Sorry, I had those backwards. See, that's why you're next to me. Director of Finance, initial interviews will be tomorrow afternoon as well. So the plan is to finish up those two searches next week.
Yes.
Yes. And then we will move on to the difficult job of replacing a legend at the Coombs, but that will be the next piece after that. So that's the update on that.
And that posting closes Friday.
Right.
Which, that, you're still here till like
October.
26. Yeah.
It'll be a smooth transition then for the new
I
person.
know why you're doing it. I wouldn't want to do it anymore either. I want to go sit with that beautiful grandbaby too.
Yeah. And then school year update, we do have in there the update of the update from the athletic director. This is the end of the winter season. Spring season started this week, correct? So we will get those numbers at our next meeting. You can see at the bottom of page 5 the different Falcon Award winners, those that we had the girls basketball into the tournament, get into the second round before placing out. We had a South Shore League champion in the long jump, second place, Ryan Araujo. Mile, division qualified Gray Auger. Winter cheerleading, third place at regionals. Congratulations to them. Gymnastics, 7th place at sectionals. Cranberry League, 3rd place. And Coach of the Year for the Cranberry League, Shelly Tyers. Ice hockey, both boys and girls, we do that in a collaboration. And you can see the records there. And then the sub-varsity sports are on the back side. So we'll look forward to the spring updates, you know, how many teams and that sort of thing coming up. Yes, ma'am.
All right, before you continue, because I didn't notice it on here, but Grace Dion and Logan Wills were the Mashpee recipients of the 2025 South Shore League Scholarship Athlete Award. So both, congratulations to both of them, their families, both outstanding athletes, outstanding students. They are what it is to be Mashpee.
Yep. Excellent. All right, and then the outreach coordinator report on page 7. Then you have her updates on things that she is working on. I think some of those were in the presentation last month as well. And I'll talk about, there is a Mashpee Cares closet opening and a ribbon cutting. I'll cover that when we get to the upcoming events in a little bit. And the social media outreach there as well. Any questions on any of those?
Not necessarily on that, but adjacent. Is it possible to have a discussion, and I don't know if it's with Principal Brady, with you, I'm hearing some rumors about some of the curriculum for next year in terms of the CTE art band stuff and possibly shortening it and to half a year kind of thing. There's some rumors going around, and I don't know if we can put that on a future agenda or if I could just email you. I don't know what's.
Why don't you
Okay.
tell me what exactly the question is? We'll get.
Because, yeah, I'm hearing some really crazy things that I'm like, that doesn't sound right. That's why I'm like, I'm going to ask and find out. So I'm asking and I shall find out. So, that, and I know there's going to be some changes in terms of staff too. Retirements is what other things. So, but there's some things, yeah, there's some crazy things going on that I'll reach out with an email. Not trying to blindside you, just wanted to. I didn't know if it needed a bigger conversation or if I should start small, so I will start small. Thank you.
We'll put that on a future agenda then.
Yeah.
Okay?
We had an incident of that a couple of weeks ago with people calling a newspaper about something that was not true as well. And I would encourage people that before before they repeat things on social media, they actually call the school office and ask the question instead of just filling a void with this information. So, then on page 11, go down to 11, yes, down to 11, you have an update on the class of 27 trip to Universal Studio. Right now, they have 39 students registered.
I thought there was supposed to be 40 in order to go
To be
forward.
viable, yeah.
They do have them after this memo, I've heard that they do have the 40.
They do have the 40?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can see that there, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 fundraising opportunities lined up. And then, I'm not sure what the sharing with the food service department has to do with this, but anyway, so that's the fundraising they have up, and they had 39 as of the 10th,
Now they have 40.
and now they have, I think, slightly over 40, but.
Okay.
How, like their fundraising events and all that type of stuff, like, did they start doing their payment plans and all of that stuff already, where these 39 students made those first payments that they were supposed to make? They
Yeah,
did.
they had to put a deposit
They
down.
did put a deposit down?
Yep.
Do we know approximately how much they fundraised so far?
I do not know that.
And is it possible to get a refresh on what the cost per student is at that smaller number of attendees? Because I recall that there was a very large difference between
Yeah.
the whole class versus just the 40. So if we could get an update on that amount, that'd be appreciated.
One more for the ticker list. I know that we had also talked a lot about equity and accessibility of this trip for some of our students who may not traditionally be able to pay for stuff like this. So of the 40 plus that have signed up, maybe just a sense of.
Well, that's the one. One is applied.
So just one.
That's what number 5
Is
is.
that what-
That's what the food services is to determine their
Yeah, I think
financial
that's probably what
need.
the food service.
Yes.
But I guess my question, as it relates, was a portion of the presentation was around the outreach to ensure that there was equitable access to it, opposed to just kind of waiting to see who applied.
Who asked for it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
no,
just
that's-
a brief update on where that stands, because that was an important part of the combo.
So I think that's where number 5 comes in right now, but.
Yeah, I was wondering what that means.
Yep.
So that's like somebody who applied for financial aid.
Basically,
That's
yes.
how they used it, they just put the.
That's how typically we've determined that need in the past, is that
That's-
qualifier.
That
So,
specific wording?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
That was my question.
Yep.
So update on the family and student opinion surveys. The student surveys were at Quashnet and actually at the high school were done today. They were scheduled when students did those today. We still are lagging on the family side. As of yesterday, we had 183 responses from families. That was one of the things in my newsletter that went out on Monday. So hopefully that will spur some more. We will send another round, but at this point, we're not going to close the survey on Friday. We're going to at least go out another week. 183 is not the amount of responses we'd like to see. So.
On that note with the survey, confidential, put your kid's name on it. That's not confidential. So you're not gonna get the response that you want, because again, it's a confidential survey, but what is your child's first name? What is their last name? What grade are they in? Who is their teacher? That is not confidential in anybody's frame of mind. I read through it, and I said, you know what, we're gonna get the same responses as we got last year. Because strictly, it may be confidential where it only goes to you, right?
Right.
But that's not confidential. So myself filling out a form, I'm gonna answer honestly because that's just who I am. And I want you guys to know the honest information. But I can't say that another parent is gonna do so when they have to put their child's name on the survey.
So I appreciate what you're saying, Kelly, but I know in the past, and I'm sure we could probably get the data, but they have been able to identify in past years issues with students that were like needing immediate attention based on what was said and shared in those surveys from parents that weren't necessarily brought forward by the kids. I understand what you're saying, and I agree, yes, it has hindered some of our response rate, and I do wonder how we get around that. But in terms of some of the things that have been shared in the past, it has been disseminated in a confidential manner in order to address the concerns of the parent and/or student. So in some ways, it has been a preventative and/or, what's the word I'm looking for? It has helped in some ways. I agree.
But it's also hindered in others.
It has, no, and it's kind of like what.
I know of students that have reaped the repercussions of filling out the survey for their honesty because they had to put their name on it. You are not gonna
What
get
repercussions
people-
have you heard of, though? I guess that's, because I haven't, in the years we've done it, I have not heard of any repercussions. I know we have to take that, no, I'm just asking. I understand what you're saying. I guess I just.
Again, I'm not
there-
gonna share, people come to me with information,
That's
I'm not
fine.
gonna kind
No,
of
no,
give
no,
you that
that's
information.
fine.
But I'm telling you, you're putting it out there as a confidential survey, it's not confidential.
But if we can help a kid versus a kid continuing to suffer, I'm always going to err on the side of helping the student.
That's what the parent's email address is for.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I'm just gonna also say, if the concern is that a system isn't working appropriately in the school where someone feels as though there's some retaliatory response to that, then that is in itself a concern.
Yep.
Right.
So my encouragement for if someone was sharing that with me would be how do we empower that person to have a voice and to share those concerns? So I think I can appreciate as well, Kelly, that dissonance, right, of trying to walk the fine line of confidential and not confidential, but I would encourage that if you have families who are reaching out to you with these concerns, that we're figuring out as school committee members how to support them to be able to vocalize that in a way that's going to get those needs met, because it's not helpful to not have that information and just to hear hearsay. Long story short.
And that data with the names on it would not be shared. It's a macro look at what the trends are.
But that's what the parents are seeing. And that's what the other people, you're putting, like the kids are doing a survey, and it's supposed to be a confidential survey, but I gotta put Kelly Robson on the survey when I'm filling it out. It will not let you tap past that.
Yeah.
So maybe it shouldn't be a required part of the form, maybe it's an optional part of the form. But I've already heard 10 parents say, I am not doing this. I'm not. This is not confidential. My kid's name is getting put on this piece of paper. And I can honestly say, I don't really blame them.
Dr. Townsend, can you just explain for the committee and for our audience, who has access to the completed surveys?
Just the superintendent, basically.
Just the superintendent? The principals don't have that information, the teachers don't. I know the school committee does not have all we have is aggregated information.
Hold on one second, Mary Kate's been trying to say
I
something.
would just be happy to concur with that this prior superintendent would receive that information. And if there was a concern about, there's a problem, I don't know, at recess or something, we would know, like, generally what was going on, but we were not shared a student and a family specifically. It was more of a global approach, like, you need to put this structure in place. But we were not given a copy of those responses or the family's needs.
All right, thank you, Dan.
That just poses curiosity for me of how, I guess I would love to know more information on what the retaliatory response is if it seems like the safeguards are in place. Having a centralized spot, having themes being produced out, if that hasn't been working in some way, how do we nurture and support those conversations to...
And the person who would have potentially been retaliatory, I mean, if that was the issue, they're no longer here, so, I don't know.
I think if there are opportunities to improve the process, we obviously should look at what we can do to help encourage and comfort people in regard to the fact that there is only really one person who potentially would see their responses, and if there is something that needs to be acted on immediately, it allows them to actually take that. And so, you know.
I can tell you that I did look at this data in August, but I did not look at anyone's name, and except for trends with principals, those are the only conversations that I had last year. So if there's somebody who felt that there was retaliation, I'd be very interested in where that would be coming from, because there were no names or people identified from me starting in July and August, so I don't know, how or unless,
Right.
wasn't here in May or June, but it is a macro level, but if there is something that is concerning, it does allow us to track it down, so.
All right. Next.
Okay, upcoming events, so the big list is on page 12, but I do want to highlight a couple other ones that are coming up, and of course, these are all on the What's Happening Wednesday. Right, Steve? Yeah, all right, that weekly, incredible production that comes out. But we've got Games Around the World at the KCC on Thursday the 20th, that's tomorrow night in the gymnasium. Beetlejuice, the play, is this weekend. That's both shows on Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. Get your tickets now. Putt for a Purpose, did we miss that?
Saturday.
That's Saturday.
Saturday, good. Saturday, didn't miss that.
So you go putt and then come to the theater.
There you go.
Make it a whole day.
If anybody hasn't seen what it is, I'm sure Sherry's Wicked Wednesdays, What's Happening Wednesday. I like that one.
The Wicked What's Happening Wednesday.
The
Let's
Wicked
do a
What's Happening.
special one.
So they're putting a mini golf course through Quashnet,
Yeah.
literally.
Yep.
So the kids are gonna set it all up, they're gonna be in all the stations. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun.
Yep. So a couple things that the one for the school committee, there is a ribbon cutting, and this is part of the community outreach that Consuelo is doing for the middle high school Mashpee Cares Closet and Pantry. That's 11 a.m. on the 30th. So that might be one that would.
It's not on here.
Come to. We're also, it's at 11 a.m.
Is it on March 30th or April?
April 30th.
April 30th.
April 30th? Oh, it's not on there.
This doesn't go.
Brand new hot off the presses.
You
And
have
then
a flyer.
also hot off the presses on the 16th is a international night, and that is at the high school, correct? Okay. So that's a collaborative event between Nashville schools and the LPAC. Okay. So those are things coming up.
Dr. Thompson, can I just say lots of gratitude for KCC and the kindergarten concert today. Fabulous performance. Thank you to the amazing musicians who are over there. It was a lovely event, so thank you for investing into music and arts at such a young age, so appreciate it.
All right, and that completes the report of the superintendent.
All right. Next, Dr. Thompson, if you'll put your finance hat on.
I'm going to put on my finance hat. Any questions? Let's start with. All right, so in your packet on page 13, you have the budget to actual. I will point out that under curriculum technology instruction, there is a negative there of 698. That is the offset that's not been applied from school choice. The other negative that is under expenses, for other expenses, that's the copier lease. And I think that there's a PO issue that's going on there, but those should be rectified soon. Page 14 is revolving funds. You can see there's only a minor difference there. All of the accounts are in good order. And then on page 15, that is the school choice. And you can see that in February, there were payments made to Raymond Design. That is the design company for the HVAC project at the middle high school. So that's what those expenses were there. Accenture LLP, I think that's HVAC as well, but I have to go back.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's part of that 2.5 million that you had allotted towards those projects. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll write them down.
All right. Did, I was just looking here, school choice. I'm not sure why.
School choice?
It's page
Oh,
15,
page-
page 15, but I don't see it in the packet.
Right here. You didn't get that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
right here.
I'm thinking of something
Page
else.
15.
I got it. Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking about something else. All right. Finance, or next is subcommittee meetings. The Finance Working Group, we met, we talked about the FY '26 school choice program and the number of seats, which we will be talking about under new business. All right. Any questions on that? So you can hold until we get to school choice. Yeah. Oh, that's, yeah. The other thing we did talk about, and Dr. Thompson, if you want to add into it, was in regard to the need to hire additional paraprofessionals. And if you just want to talk about that, please.
Yeah, and I did send a quick note out to the committee last week, but we have had 2 students come into the district or elevate needs in the district. The IEPs were written with a 1-to-1 paraprofessional. So we do have been in the process of hiring those 2 positions because we meet the requirements of those IEPs. So and I did share that with you folks in the finance group.
Okay. Any questions? Next item on unfinished business, we're trying to come up with a date for a joint meeting with the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Council. Brian, I don't know what your thoughts are.
I did share 2025 tribal annual calendar with Sherry. I also brought a copy today, so there are some meeting dates that are identified. If we pick a month, I can probably throw out dates, or we can share that around as well.
Do you have a copy of that?
I think you're the only one who did.
I think you're
Oh, I
the,
apologize, I thought everybody got
No.
it.
no. Okay.
Brian figured you're his favorite. So these are your regular meetings in the building?
Yeah.
So I guess first question to Brian's point, what month?
Because you figure May and June is graduation and end of the school year.
I would suggest either May or June.
I was gonna say June also, like the June 18th.
You can't do it at the same time you guys have. What about June 20th?
Excellent. Next item, in your packet, you received information in regard to the survey results that went out. You can take a look at that.
Did we ever get a cost estimate on signs and the cost of all the changes that would be associated with the name change?
Not yet.
Okay.
All right. So I think the plan, as we talked at the last meeting, was to bring this back in April.
I mean, it does look like the community supports it.
Was this survey shared with just the CrossFit school parents, or was it shared with the community, the whole entire community?
I think it ultimately went to everybody.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah. I think there was a message that went specifically to the Quashnet community, and there's another one that was a general one.
Right.
And I know that it also got sent more globally on the internet, so I think that it had a fairly large reach.
Yeah, it was available.
Correct. There's
Glo-
a difference between
on a wide.
responding
Right, whether they responded or not.
And I did, just so my fellow committee members know, I did reach out to Ms. Whitten about the VEX Robotics program, and it's done by grade, and it has nothing to do with the name of the actual school itself. So I just want to put that out there for information purposes.
All right, so we will have more discussion and potentially a vote then in April. All right?
Can we confirm that the cost estimates will be?
Yeah.
Yeah, we will request that.
Thank you.
Sure, you setting that up?
Okay?
Do we have woodworking classes at the high school? Woodworking? Yeah, is there woodworking classes at the high school?
Sign makers?
This year, we used to, we do not have that anymore.
Okay. Well, because that would be Dan, that would be a suggestion.
It would be, but
Somebody's senior project, a class project, make a new Quashnet sign.
No, we have amazing equipment in the high school. I think it was just one of those things that there was an enrollment,
Yeah.
and I believe it had something to do with the teacher,
Okay.
like it couldn't sustain itself.
I'm just
Yeah.
thinking of
No,
outside of the box.
believe me, I'm with you. I just.
I would love to bring back woodworking if we could find somebody. We have an applied civics class right now where the kids are making guitar, who's done in the car.
They're beautiful.
It's one of the most magical experiences when
Yeah,
you walk
it's
in that
beautiful.
classroom.
All right.
We're all using woodworking,
Yeah.
painting, but
Look-
he's a physics teacher.
Right.
So let's put a pin on that discussion and bring that for another one, okay? So we can kind of stay on topic.
Okay, so that's.
All right, next item under new business. You have in your packet a copy of the FY '26 meeting schedule.
Yeah, Brian doesn't jive.
So one of the reasons I printed out my schedule, like I shared in the past, I know sometimes questions might be raised about where I am when I'm not present here. As you know, first and foremost, the job that pays the bills is being the chairman of the tribe. That will always be a priority. I love this, but I don't get paid to do this, so.
But you are missed when you're not here. I hope you know that.
So it looks like, it honestly looks like, so July would have an issue. August and September are okay.
Yeah, I had July 23rd was a conflict, October 8th and 22nd was a conflict, November 12th, and then December 17th. But I can also compromise because the vice chairperson can run meetings, it just depends on how important the topics are at that meeting.
And I don't want to complicate things by any means, because I can do my best to adjust, but second Wednesdays are typically a time where I'm also chairing an alternative obligation, but with advance notice, I can do some work on that.
All right, so I think with that, any other feedback, and we can come back at the next meeting with an adjusted schedule
Are
and
we
see.
supposed to vote on that? Yeah.
We don't have to vote on it.
Doesn't vote this meeting, but you do the vote.
Do we want to discuss, like, are we doing a retreat as well? Usually we do that in August, and I feel like that would be valuable with a new administration to schedule a school committee retreat for August. Typically is when we do that, so do we want to?
You should do that.
Can we put that on April's agenda to discuss that?
So, looks like,
You do already have it on April's agenda? Okay. I just figure it should probably be on this list, so I don't know if you want to incorporate that for April? Okay, that's fine with me.
well, do you want to talk about that in regard to a date? Because it looks to me like you're probably looking at maybe the week of August 4th.
I mean, my other question to my fellow committee members, and I know we'll have we'll have a new person here as well, and sometimes when we set this, it's a little tricky, but does it have to be a Wednesday? Like, are we open to another day? Are we open to a weekend half-day? Like, do we want to look at alternates to Wednesday for the retreat specifically?
Well, and I will say typically the retreat did not have to be on a Wednesday.
No.
It could be any day.
Exactly.
I just think when you look at your calendar, you should probably want to focus on early in August, before it gets too crowded. But then, depending on people's individual plans, whether they'd be available, take that into consideration.
May I take the liberty of chiming in?
Sure.
In my experience, and having attended school committee retreats in my position, with a brand new central office leadership team for the most part, I would recommend a Saturday for a couple of hours. I know that sometimes a personal time is very important, and I understand that, but I also appreciate what a long day, even in the summer, when people are working, or maybe you're at the beach all day, it's still a long day, right? And for everyone to really be fresh and fully engaged might be just a couple hours in the morning, to just really dig into the work, make it focused, and you've got your whole team there instead of trying to, if it's 5:30 at night, then you're like, oh my gosh, it's 8 o'clock, and now it's 9 o'clock, and what does that mean for people? So it's going to be hard to do that.
Bridge traffic on a Saturday.
Yes. Yeah, I don't. Right, mine should be here at 4 a.m. Start up at like 3 anyway. So Sherry and I do have a date to help me think through the summer calendar planning and all of the meetings too. And I still have greatly rely on her insight for things such as that. Bridge traffic. Those things that are
Actually, you know what? Saturdays really aren't that bad anymore. It's Wednesday,
It's
Thursday, and
yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
That's true. I noticed that when I would drive from Brockton to Plymouth on Wednesdays. Why is it already started? So many people can work from home now. All right, so we can think those through.
Right.
That was just.
No, I agree, and I think that's why I was.
That probably makes a little bit, more, so like you said, right now, it's 8 o'clock, and half of us have been up since 5 or earlier, and, it's one, and it just all rolls into,
But I think too, if we, as a committee, have enough time to plan a Saturday, we
Yeah.
can adjust our schedules enough, so
Yeah.
I'm open to it. It's up to the rest of you, but I'm gonna say I'm open to a Saturday for the retreat.
And it wouldn't be a whole day.
No.
It would just.
We could even have like breakfast brunch.
Very efficient.
Yeah.
All right.
Beginning of August would probably be better, just for me, because I know that there's powwows every other weekend after that.
Okay.
Rhode Island to Scomixon, Foxwood powwows, and Shamrock and all that stuff.
All right. So why don't we do this? People look at their tentative
I
schedules.
think we just kinda got it with Brian
Yeah.
saying
The second,
So-
looks like the second is.
August 2nd?
August 2nd.
August 2nd, potentially?
August 2nd, potentially?
Okay.
Let's look at that date.
So everyone check your calendar. Okay? Anything else on the calendar? All right. So we will bring that back for the next meeting. School choice program? Dr. Thompson?
On page 25, there is a recommendation for, I'm assuming we're not going to vote to leave school choice? Okay, good, good assumption. So that is, so you can see the red is the proposed additional seats. We do have a couple smaller classrooms and, grades and what have you, and looking at trying to expand our footprint and options for folks. So you can see the red there is the proposed additional seats, and then the total seats is to the far right. So we would move basically from like 97 seats to 140 seats.
So basically a 50% increase. Assuming,
Doesn't mean they're all going to show up, but
right,
we would not.
we'd have it available.
Right.
And to your point earlier, there's a downward trend in enrollments, right?
Right,
So,
yeah, and that's not, I mean, it's a little worse on the Cape because of the price of housing down here right now, but it is a nationwide and especially statewide trend that we're seeing, so.
in terms of our enrollment enrollment, though, we're we're staying pretty level with our school choice enrollment and like what's coming in versus what's going out. We haven't seen too many dips. I mean,
Look back at the.
yeah, I mean, it's not a huge, which I think is a testament to what our district offers.
Right, we have 95 in and 94 out, so yes, we have turned that around, or you have turned that around. But perhaps if we had more in seats, we would be, a little bit better off. But again, for those out there, it's not adding more classrooms or teachers, it's filling in spots that are open.
And just so that the rest of the committee is aware, we had this discussion in our finance committee meeting about certain grade levels not opening seats for school choice and reasonings. For kindergarten, not opening seats has to do with looking at our enrollment in our full-time pre-K program, keeping those classrooms small. 10th grade, for example, was our competency determination for graduation versus towns around us is very different. So if they were in the 10th grade in Falmouth and they got a 60 in English and then came to Mashpee in the 11th grade, they no longer meet the competency determination for 10th grade English because our competency determination is higher.
Thank you for the information.
But from year to year, I do honestly think, just knowing our demographics and the families that are doing school choice, we should look at that pre-K coming into kindergarten to see if there is the option to open up seats for kindergartners for school choice.
I think I always feel for the families that already have children within the school
Yeah,
system.
and that's
right?
kind of the example that I brought up.
But the challenge is that obviously it needs to be a fair process for those seats, so you can't, obviously, we know we can't guarantee those families will
Right.
get in regardless. But I think that is what hurts the most from my viewpoint.
Also, I feel like to that point, we have heard it from the tribe in the past, and obviously we can't give preference, but when those students are leaving the Weedemuth school and the tribal school, if there's no school choice and they don't live in the district, that means that they're going to have to go to other schools wherever they might live. And I do know that the tribal school does service students that live outside of the district. I think my other thought was, last time when we had voted on this, the recommendation at the time was not to add any more positions or seats at the high school level because of the challenges that COVID had brought forward with the mental health and the things that needed to be addressed in the high school. But now we're adding some to the high school for some of the lower grades. But then it's like, okay, well, what about the ones that did move out of the district and now they're juniors or seniors and don't have the opportunity to graduate in their own district? Because I feel like they're so it kind of seems like kindergarten and now the older students in 12th grade are kind of the ones that are kind of out based off of this. But I just wanted to raise those concerns because those were concerns that were brought to us by the former superintendent and I think it was the principal at the time from the high school. So I'd be interested to see if there was any, I don't know, if there's still that same kind of issues going on there, or if anybody had any input in this outside of just the working group, the principals or other people that are directly impacted by this.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is once you get beyond 10th grade, then you have to worry about meeting all the graduation requirements. They're coming in from a different town at that point in time, and if they are not doing Mass Core and do not have, at least a 64 to 66, for their key pieces, then they're not going to get the diploma here. So that, it raises another level of concerns. The other thing is that, so if you look, it's kind of strategic here. We're talking about, we see kids leaving at grade 7 and grade 9, going to technical schools in grade 9, maybe doing some other school choice options in grade 7. That's what the numbers are we're looking to add. So I can't comment on the previous piece. I don't see a lot of social emotional issues at the middle high school. 2 or 3 kids that we're working with, but not a majority. I don't know if we're past whatever that concern was. But.
Brian, just for public, and I guess to make sure I'm correct, Weedham School, that is through 6th grade? Third, okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome. I know that me personally, I came back to the district when I was a senior from Barnstable High School. Barnstable, their requirements were less than Mashpee, but I managed to make it work and still graduated on time. So I know that if I didn't have that opportunity, then I wouldn't have been able to be a proud Mashpee High School alumni.
Like I said, with MCAS changing and just theirs disappearing, and I think this is what we had talked about when we determined the competency determination, is we set a higher level for our students to meet on purpose, because that's what we want them to be, high achievers, where our surrounding towns are all kind of putting a less of a number on their competency to graduate. And I would hate for a kid to come in from, and I don't know what their numbers are, Falmouth, that got a 60 in 10th grade English, and now comes to Mashpee in 11th grade, and that's not our determination for graduation. So they're either gonna have to retake 10th grade English to make it up to a 60, to where we want them, or they're not gonna be able to graduate from Mashpee. And I'm hoping within the next year, the state figures it out, so that everybody's the same, but, you understand what I'm saying?
I mean, the other thing is we can look at the residency policy, so if someone does move out the junior or senior year, they could use school choice to stay if they were already enrolled in it, but
That would be like case by case
that's,
basis.
instead of it being an open school choice seat, if you're enrolled and you move and you want to stay, you can apply for a school choice waiver. But to be honest with you, I haven't had to look at the residency policy in the last 10 months, so I have to go back and look at that. But that is, different districts have different requirements. That most are second half of your student year, you can stay, but there's no reason why that couldn't be after sophomore year. You know?
All right. Any other questions? Any other questions?
No, I just know in the past we've approved so many different kind of waivers, and it seems like the waivers sometimes are picking and choosing, because obviously those requests have to come through the superintendent, and they are brought to us sometimes. I can say in the past that there have been certain families and individuals that have been targeted because they've moved out of the district and things like that, and didn't have the opportunity or were never told that they could ask for a waiver request. And I know that last time we had talked about this, we had asked Sherry about the waiting list and how many people were on that waiting list when we did have school choice opens up. So I'm just looking at it from an equity lens, just to make sure everyone has the opportunity when the opportunity does come available.
So, just in regard to the waivers, so the waivers that typically will come to the school committee and which you have voted on in the past are in regard to students who are currently Mashpee students and for whatever reason, their parents move out of the district. The school committee, as far as I recall, has never not approved a tuition waiver so that that student could remain in district to complete that current school year. Now, that's different from them having to apply for school choice. But a waiver, this committee has, to my knowledge, never not approved a tuition waiver for someone who was a Mashpee student and moved to another district so that they could complete their current year. Okay?
I think the problem was the families not knowing that option was never given to the families. I'm not saying that we've never approved them, but there have been individuals that have approached me as an individual and a school committee member to say, oh, well, I didn't know that I could get a waiver. You know, they just kind of kicked us out of the district and didn't say there were alternative options, so.
Yeah, that may have happened. I don't believe it's happened recently, but part of the exit process is to make sure that those students and families are aware of those options, whether both from a financial waiver of tuition and also for school choice.
And that was kind of going to be my next question, when when a family goes to, you know, the principal or the superintendent and says, you know, we have to leave Mashpee school systems, and, you know, is it just like, okay, yep, not a problem, here's all your stuff, or are they inquisitive? Do you say, why are you leaving? Oh, well, I moved out of town, we couldn't afford to live there. Well, do you know that there is this opportunity for you to continue? Like, are families given that information, or do they have to pry that information out of somebody? Like, it should be an ease of access for our community members, for our students, especially in their families, that, God forbid, they have to leave the town that they grew up in.
So Kelly, are you asking maybe like an SOP? That's the practice?
Yeah,
Practice?
yeah.
I guess, is there an SOP for if someone's either requesting across the schools?
I'd have to look into that. I know that out of the 3 that left us this past month, 2 have left are in the country.
Okay.
So that's a little too far to do on a daily basis. But I don't know about the other one. You know, there is, you know, if you're moving, that's not the next town over. It's really difficult. But
I know, they moved out of state.
Okay.
Got a job
So
out of
that's,
state.
Mary
They
Kate, in
moved out
your
of state.
experience as the senior person over there, do the parents typically go to the principal to say they need to remove their kids out of the school system because they're moving, or?
Usually it comes through the main office of the schools, and the situations vary all the time. It could be next door, the next community. The problem is we don't provide any transportation for school choice students. So even if you move to Falmouth and you're over the line, you don't have a bus option.
No.
So that's where it becomes really difficult to stay. I can say most of our school choice kids are kids that were Mashpee kids.
Yeah.
That's where we get the majority of our students. I think when it's come to the waivers, traditionally or historically, it's been for students who are moving in the last quarter or the last term of the school year, not students who in September we find.
Right.
They're students that.
But is the practice to offer that type of stuff?
And we definitely look at the best needs. We try to, every time, the
Yeah.
best needs of the student and offer what we can to the family. But we don't have transportation.
Right,
For
no.
school choice. Although we have, if there's room on the bus, we investigate that. If there's room on the bus and they can get the student to the closest stop, we do try to
Right.
arrange that.
Okay.
But it's based on, is there availability for school choice? Yes or no? The waiver depends on the time of year.
And the reason for that is because you've got that financial component of school choice that once we approve a school choice waiver, we then, if it's a mid-year waiver approval or that late quarter, we're basically eating the cost of that student until they enroll the next year. We can budget and put them on because of how the whole process of school choice works. Is it in the best interest of the student? No, because unfortunately money tied to things is never always, I mean, unless it's funding things. But because of that piece, unfortunately, that sometimes will impact those numbers that we're looking at too, a little bit.
Well, hold on, just to clarify. So when we do a tuition waiver, we've already budgeted for that student for the whole year. So it's not costing us to do that.
No.
Okay?
Sorry, I misspoke on that.
It's just to be clear,
It's, yeah.
Right.
you know, and to Mary Kate's very accurate assessment, you know, we don't offer transportation for someone who's out of district to come back in. And that is a huge impediment. Okay?
So if they're, like, I'm just trying to understand how this works. So as a freshman, I get a school choice seat. We don't offer sophomore, junior, and senior school choice seats.
No. Once you have it, you have it
Once
until
you're
you
enrolled,
leave.
you have it until you, okay, all right.
Okay?
Once you're enrolled, we
Okay.
are committed to take them for the entire.
Right.
That was my question. I'm like, so if they come in as a freshman, can they not keep, like?
No, they can, what you're looking at is only new seats. The people that are currently coming, the 97, they can keep coming until they graduate.
And to go back to your question, Dan, when a family comes in and says they're unenrolling, one of the questions So there is that conversation about where they're going, and then if they're going to Falmouth or Barnstable, well, you know, or Sandwich, then.
Yeah, I
realize
guess, thank you for that. I guess to Brian's point, I just want to ensure that, you know, we understandably, either we have complex families, we have non-complex families, right? We have personalities, we have whatever it may be.
Right.
I just, you know, again, to Brian's point, want to make sure that everyone is getting the same messaging across the board, right? And we know that in large systems, that can break down, and depending who's holding the wheel at the time, I just want to ensure that moving forward, we have something in place that ensures that we're not missing opportunities and disservicing families and students because of whatever the factor is. So Brian, thank you for raising that.
I think one of the benefits about our district is that each school is small enough that we know those families that have challenges, and we know the families that don't have challenges. So if you have a family that has a challenge and comes in and is trying their child, you've already probably had a relationship with that family, and you will ask those questions.
Yeah.
I think it's easier, because our schools are small, to have those relationships with families.
Agreed. And I agree with that, and I also think that sometimes when there could be incompatibility, it's easy to watch a ship sail away, right? And I'm not saying that that's current
No,
state.
yeah, I don't disagree.
You know what I mean? And I think that, you know, that's, I think what Brian's raising is just ensuring that moving forward, we continue to work really closely to ensure that folks are getting that equal opportunity.
Okay.
So thank you, Sherry, as well for that. I agree with you.
All right. We don't have to vote on this, so it is what it is. Let's see. Competency determination evaluations for former Mashpee students. I will turn it to Dr. Thompson to talk about this.
Yeah, so Chairman Myers asked me to look into whether if there was a student that got a certificate of attainment and not a diploma from Mashpee, is there a mechanism or a way for them to do that? There is. There are several districts that are starting to, there's several that are waiting to see what the next shoe is to drop, but there are several that are looking at that. And I believe I sent that language out Tuesday, whatever, I don't know, if the days roll into this week. But, you know, if the committee would like, we could send that to the policy subcommittee, look at that language, add that to that graduation policy we just finished, we'll just revise a little bit. I will check it with legal, make sure that there's only about 4 or 5 other districts that seem to have put that in place right now. It was mentioned at a Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed webinar back when this whole competency piece was coming up, that would be a piece that districts would have to look at. We could be ahead of that. We put together a process where people would apply and ask that their transcripts be reviewed. They would have to meet the graduation competency determination plus all the graduation requirements that were there at that time. And then if so, we would bring them a diploma and have some sort of side ceremony to present them. But if the committee would like, we could schedule a policy subcommittee and
All right.
we go.
Just one question, then I'll ask for a motion. So if a student, if a Mashpee student received a certificate of attendance, basically, and then subsequently completed a GED program, I'm trying to wrestle with, could they ultimately go back and get or be awarded a Mashpee?
Well, you would, my understanding, and again, we got to do some work on this, my understanding is they would get a Mashpee diploma if they met the Mashpee graduation requirements. A GED is an equivalency that might not be exactly the same as what Mashpee's graduation requirements are.
But we would have to kind of look at that, right?
We could go back and look at their transcript.
At their transcript.
At their transcript from when they were in high school, to see if they met it.
Okay, so it's only when they were in Mashpee that would be relevant. Okay. All right, any other questions? Otherwise, I'd ask for a motion to refer this to the policy subcommittee for consideration.
So moved.
I have a motion by Kathy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kelly. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Dan?
Yes.
Kelly? Kathy,
Yes.
and Brian, and I vote yes. Just mixing it up, guys.
Mix it up.
Yeah,
Keep
keep
Just
it
mix
up.
it-
We're paying attention, John, we're paying attention.
Okay,
Obviously Kelly's on her toes, she didn't miss a beat on that.
all right. We are now,
Mr. Chair, can I make a motion to adjourn the public meeting?
I don't,
you can't,
just make the motion to go into executive session.
yeah, it'd be a motion. If there's nothing else for our general session, then we make a motion to go into executive session.
I can't do executive session.
You have to do part of it. Okay? So, do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Mr. Chair, I move we enter executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, Unit C, and pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A7, to review executive session minutes for potential release. The committee will not reconvene in public session.
I'll second that.
All right? Any further discussion? Hearing none? Dan?
I vote yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Brian? And I vote yes. So it's unanimous. We will be going into executive session. Thank you.